This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column. Whole squad been trained to go.
What's up, baby?
Singing this just to welcome, bro.
Two a time. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. Good morning to my family with a PH and my fellow Finlaws. What is up? It is Spread Kindness Friday. Super excited to be hanging out with y'all this morning. Got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk a lot of different South Florida, Miami sports this morning. We're going to get into the good talk of the Miami Dolphins here a little bit later, but you guys just sit tight. We got a lot of great stuff lined up for you today. For those of you who don't know and are just tuning in for the first time, welcome. Welcome to Spread Kindness Friday, one of my favorite shows of the week. I'm your host, Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. Follow me there. Would love to see you there at Stephen D. SKPL. Once again, you can also follow Miami Sports everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except on Twitter, where we are at MIA Sports Music. Again, that's at MIA Sports Music on Twitter. On your way in this morning, hit the like button. If you haven't hit it already, what are you waiting for? It's Spread Kindness Friday. Hit the like button. It doesn't cost anything. It helps the channel. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribed. As a matter of fact, that's the only way you can chat in the chat box live this morning with us, is by being a subscriber to the channel. It doesn't cost anything, and obviously it helps the channel grow. We want to get our subscriber count up, so let's go. Let's keep going with that. Hey, look, if you want to sign up to become a member today, there are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. We would love for you to sign up and join to become a member of the family. That's right. Make sure you sign up this morning to become a member of the family. Absolutely amazing. We'd love to see you on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, whatever it is. We'd love to see you here. It's absolutely amazing. And you guys are the best in the world. And we can't grow without your help. So there are different tiers, whatever tier you think you want to do. If you're able to do it, we'd love for you to become part of the family. It's greatly appreciated. Last thing, hey, look, if you want to help the channel grow, you can do it by donating. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can use the YouTube live super chat, and the YouTube live super chat is the $ below the bottom of the chat. You can hit that and you'll see super sticker or super chat. You can put in a chat. You can put whatever amount you want in, and it goes such a long way into helping the channel grow. It doesn't matter if it's $1.99 or $100, whatever it is. If you're able to do it, it helps, and it goes such a long way. We pour it right back into the channel, and we're able to use it for a lot of different things, and a lot of the different equipment, events, subscriptions that we use. It goes right back into the channel. We also give it away. We also give it away to charity. We've done a lot of stuff with Dolphins Cancer Challenge. Raised a lot of money for a lot of different other things, like the Surfside event that happened a couple of years ago. We raised a lot of money for that when the building collapsed. So there's a lot of different things. So when you guys donate, it goes to the right places, and we appreciate it. If you don't want to give on YouTube, obviously, because YouTube takes out like 50%, it's like 48% or 46%. You can also do Cash App, which is $MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that's right on your screen, or PayPal, which is also MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that's right on your screen. Whatever it is, it goes a long way to helping everything grow. So if you're able to give, great. If not, still hit the like button. Make sure you join in on the chat. It all helps. Share the link. Let people know that we're live. We can't grow without your help, so we appreciate it. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today. I appreciate it. Hangry Owls, good food, good mood. Craft subs and salads. Hangry Owls, established in 2018. If you guys want the best subs around in South Florida, it's in Pembroke Pines. Make sure you give them a call at 305-279-5332. And make sure you follow them on Instagram at Hangry Owls. Okay. Also, Vasasor. Vezasor. We love some Vezasor. If you guys are in the Wynwood, Miami area, make sure you go to the Vezasor Brewing Company. Born and raised, a beer created for the fans, by the fans, the official beer of Clock Blockers. We love Vezasor, everything that they do, and hopefully we're going to be doing some awesome things in the future with them next year. So we're excited about it. We're talking with them, and should be some good stuff. I'm excited about it. GreatPlaceToSit.com. If you guys need a ticket to anything, okay, concert, sports, theater, make sure you go to a GreatPlaceToSit.com. And when you're looking, the price you see is the price you get. And here's the best part, ladies and gentlemen. In the link or in the description below, you will see the link to a GreatPlaceToSit.com. And right underneath that link, you'll see a phone number, 954-989-7979. Use the code word DWA, and you'll get an additional 5% off on your tickets. Absolutely amazing. And then last but certainly not least, Tail Greeter. We love Tail Greeter. Download the app today on your current Apple or Android device today. We got a lot of cool stuff. Tail Greeter is also partnering up with the Southwest Florida Fan Club for their Beach Mud Bash. And we're going to have some more on that early next week. I'm going to have Dolphriki on next week to talk about her Beach Mud Clash. And it's going to be a bash. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And we're actually going to bring on a lot of different fan clubs next week to talk about their awesome off-season get-togethers. The California crew, they do a picnic. It's their 10th annual off-season picnic. It's going to be great over there. And then you got the Beach Bash down in Southwest Florida. There's a lot of really cool things that are coming up in the off-season for a lot of these fan clubs. And I want to tell you all about it. So if you're in that part of the country, you can go hang out with other Dolphin fans, which are absolutely amazing. Okay. Last but certainly not least, I want to remind you guys, we got 3 great events coming up with Tail Greeter this upcoming season. If you're going to be in Washington, want to remind you all, if you're going to go to the Commanders Dolphins game, we are doing the FedEx Takeover. It's going to be awesome. I hope you're going to be there for that. If you're in Philadelphia, we're going to be doing the Philly Finvasion. And then if you're in Baltimore, we're going to be doing the Baltimore Beatdown. What does that mean for you guys? Well, that means we're going to be doing a meet and greet the night before. In DC, we're going to be doing a charity event as well as a meet and greet. So we're going to be doing a charity event during that Saturday during the day, and then the night before we're going to be doing a meet and greet. And then that morning we will be doing a huge tailgate at the game in partner with Tail Greeter. It's going to be fun. So a lot of great stuff going on for those 3 games, away games. And as always, East 32 Dolphins tailgate down in Miami. Best tailgate in Hard Rock land. Let me tell you, it's great. It's good times. And if you go to Tail Greeter, you can download the free app and then just type in wherever it is you're going to be and get your tickets for all that stuff. So all that stuff's going to be on sale after probably the schedule comes out, because we can't lock some things down till after the schedule comes out with some of these third parties that we're working with. But things are all in the works. We went to Washington the other day, me and Ryan Keeling, who's helping me put this together, and we had a great time. And we locked down, the charity event, and we locked down the place that we're going to do the meet and greet at. And then we're going up to Philadelphia in a couple of weeks, I think. And we're going to be looking at a couple of places there, hotels, as well as spots to do the meet and greet at. So we're excited. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and I'm doing all this research and I'm going to these places because I want an awesome event for you, the fans, to go to. And I'm excited about it. All right. As you guys know, it is Spread Kindness Friday. And what does that mean? It means we are going to do the best show in the world with my brother from another mother, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Sarney. What's up?
Morning, fans. How's everybody doing this Friday?
How you doing, man?
Doing great. Loving Fridays. Loving doing the show with you every week. So hoping that we're going to have a good one and watch some basketball tonight and this weekend.
Yeah, man, we're going to get into all that today. I'm super excited about it. Let me say hello to the people in the chat. We got Marino's Goat. We got Matthew Walter. Good morning. Fins up. Josh K. Always a pleasure seeing you in here, brother. Super excited. Jose Valdez. One of the best in the chat room, one of the most active. I love Jose. Jose's my guy. Okay. Trucker Sean, Chase One says good morning. Chase One says FAU, what a story. We're gonna get into it, Chase One. I'm super excited to talk about that. Trucker Sean also says smash that like button. Caslin says still can't find the gifting membership. Hey, look, when you guys go the $sign below the bottom of the chat, if you click it and you're already a member, that should be a way that you can gift memberships. I see Shake Money and Caslin asking about that. I appreciate that, gentlemen. And you guys can gift memberships that way. And it's a big deal. We'd love to get more members on board so they can see what it's like to become part of the family. And we definitely want that. Let's see here. We got Noob, Steven's favorite noob. Look, you're gonna get the other people jealous of you, Noob. You can't just be telling everybody that you're my favorite. You're gonna get people mad at you, and then people are gonna get mad at me that I have a favorite. Don't do that, Noob. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Okay. What else we got? We got PJ Mack is in the building. Matthew says Hopium Friday. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a Hopium dealer now. I like it. Wow, Shake Money. Gifted 5 memberships. What? I like it.
There we go.
I like it. Nando Talk. Trapstar 187, Anthony Manzano, Hugh, and Stevie TV all gifted memberships by Shake Money. Shout out to Shake Money for gifting 5 memberships to the channel. Thank you, man.
Thank you,
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. I appreciate it, man. Shay says, I need 20 of that Hopium, fan. Oh, man, I got you. I got you. Derek League says, can you share for our Super Bowl party? Can you share locations for our Super Bowl party? Look, it's too funny about that. Last year, before we went on that 5-game losing streak, I was talking to Tail Greeter and a couple of other people about doing a tailgate party in Phoenix, which would have been insane, and a Super Bowl party down in Miami as well. So I didn't know. Caslin, what?
What do you do? What do you do?
He gifted 10 memberships.
Wow.
Kaz
coming through. Love it.
Kaz.
Beautiful.
Mikey got one. Manny B got one. Stacy Overbay got one. TD Finstock is now a member. Dirk A is a member. Susan Ojito. Stephen Daniel. How am I a member of my own show? Trapstar 187. Kyle. Cody Reinhardt. All members. Shout out to you all. Awesome, man.
Beautiful.
Caslin was like, I see your 5 memberships, and I doubled down there, sir.
Double down.
I see your 5, and I add another 5. I add another 10. Shout out to y'all.
Good start.
Love it, man.
Good start.
I like it, man. Great start to Spread Kindness Friday. That's what it's all about. Trucker Sean says, Steven, are we doing Jimmy's Famous Seafood in Baltimore again Saturday night? I've already talked to Jimmy's Famous Seafood. We are doing it again with them. Super stoked about hanging out with Jimmy's Famous Seafood and doing more stuff with them. So it should be a lot of fun hanging out with them for the Baltimore Beatdown 2023. It'll be good times. Jason, you're going to come to a couple of those events
I'll
this
be
year.
at the Baltimore. I'll be at the Washington. I'll be at the Philly. These are all within 3 hours of my zone, of my home. So I will be at all those games.
I should call you when me and Ryan are going up to Philly in the next few weekends, and maybe you can meet us out there for that Saturday.
Done. That would be great.
I'm excited about it.
Let's rock.
All right, let's see. Just real quick, Mauricio says, good morning, guys. What's up with the dad jokes? Oh, you want the no dad jokes? Well, you started this. Everybody can get mad at Mauricio because it is Spread Kindness Friday, which means you get some dad jokes today.
Uh-oh.
Yes, let's go. Here we go. Okay. I need to go to another page for dad jokes. Here we go. Best corny dad jokes. All right. Y'all ready? I got 2 dad jokes for you. Let's go. Y'all ready? What do you call an angry carrot?
I don't know.
A steamed veggie. Bam! What? No, that wasn't good? Okay. All right, hold on.
You might have to get another one out there.
All right. What would bears be without bees? Ears.
All right, not bad.
No, all right. We didn't start off great with that.
Not
Okay.
bad.
Okay. All right. Couple more people up in here. Shay said, I need that 20 of Hopium, man. Shake Money can be Steven's favorite for at least the next 10 minutes. Then I'll need my title back. I like it. Finn's tailgate is in the building. Like it, man. Me too, Sarney. 5 hours, me, but who's counting? I like it.
If it's under 7 or 8 hours, it's a piece of cake.
What's up, Steven and Jason? Looking forward to your 2 rational takes and talking fearful Finns fans off the ledge. We have a good team, people. Fins up. I like it. Oh man, appreciate you, Kaz. It feels good to officially be part of the family. In my Vin Diesel voice. Mikey's botched the show. He knows all about my Vin Diesel voice. Matthew says, knock knock. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Not my dad. He went for milk 30 years ago.
Oh, come on.
Damn, Matthew, I like it. Good dad joke.
That's the anti-dad joke.
I like it. I like it.
Pretty fun. I like that one.
It's a good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, great show lined up for you today. We got a lot of stuff to get into. Miami Heat playoff run, Sweet 16, FAU playing last night. Great game. Jason and I are going to get into that. University of Miami playing tonight. We're going to talk about that. 2 South Florida teams going dancing in the Sweet 16. And then, look, a lot of news to talk about. DJ Fluker, the situation with DJ Fluker, Dolphins scouts being everywhere, across the country. And so just a lot to kind of really be excited about and talk about. So I want to kind of get into all of that. So first things first, let's talk college basketball, man. A lot of great, before we get into FAU, just a lot of great stories so far, man. The FDU 16 beating a 1 in the first couple of rounds, or in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Second time that's ever happened. The only other time it happened was right here in my neck of the woods in UMBC, beating a 16 beating a 1 seed. That's pretty awesome, man. FDU ended up playing FAU, and it was so weird because I was like, I want FAU to go. But the FDU story was so big. That was a crazy story, right? The FDU beat 16 beating a 1.
It was the perfect 16 seed to get a win this year. Their coach, Tobin Anderson, is a heck of a character, great dude. You see, he's got a hell of a handle. If you ever see the guy dribble, he was doing it on a studio show. This guy's got a handle. But great story. And like you said, the only second time it's happened in history, so it was really awesome to see that. And the FAU thing, hey, look, Boca is partying past 8 p.m. these days.
Boca's partying past 8 p.m. I love it. Let's go. Let's go. Nuts. Man, look, before I just dive into it, just some other things that I think have been really fun to watch this year, just for me personally. Just looking at everything that kind of happened. The Princeton story is another one, a 15 seed. They're still dancing. They play tonight against Creighton, Creighton's always a big story, right? They've been a Cinderella in the past. They're a 6 seed, but a 15 playing a 6. I want to root for Princeton. So at 7:00 tonight, we got the University of Miami playing Houston, and we got Princeton playing Creighton. But last night, FAU plays Tennessee. I watched about the first 10 minutes of the game, and I'm like, man, FAU is going to get killed because the Tennessee just looked better. They look bigger. They look stronger. What happens when these Cinderella teams start going deeper into the tournament and they start playing these teams that have had recruits of, top 5-star recruits, top best basketball players in the country. And now this team like FAU and Princeton are playing against these guys. What happens when these matchups happen? How do teams like FAU and Princeton keep on winning against better teams?
Well, 2 things happen, I believe. You have such tremendous momentum when you're an underdog and you win. So when you walk off the court as a 16, as a 15, and you get that W, you're creating an unbelievable wave of momentum. On the flip side, here you have a 4, a 3, a 2 seed welcoming in this momentum wave of these Cinderellas. I don't care who you are. There's a mental fear. I don't want to be next. I don't want to be the team that loses to these guys. I don't want to be a notch on their belt. So the momentum that it puts the underdog up versus the fear that it brings the favorite down. We're not even talking X's and O's yet. That's an advantage for your Cinderellas in and of itself, in my opinion, before the tip. The nothing to lose mentality. We're already playing with house money versus, oh man, we can't be the next ones to be embarrassed here. We're from the Big 12. We can't let Conference USA beat us. It's like there's fear there.
PJ Max says teams like FAU have talent. They just don't have the nationally televised games like Power 5 schools, Stephen D. Oh, don't get me wrong. I know that that's the case, but the reality is they also don't get the chance to recruit players of the upper echelon, like teams, for example, like Alabama, right? Teams that are playing tonight against, San Diego State or Xavier or Texas. These teams get the opportunity to recruit some of the best players in the country. Some of these kids that are playing on or young men, let me say young men that are playing on FAU. I mean, some of these guys were playing junior college basketball less than a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool to say you were playing in junior college and now you're in the Sweet 16. By the way, mind you, the Elite 8, because they beat Tennessee last night. I don't know how they overcame Tennessee. I just know that eventually they just started hitting more shots and they were stopping Tennessee. And it just looked, I was looking and I'm like,
they caught a good draw.
Look, man, they did.
Tennessee's a great team, but they're a defensive-minded team that has kind of limited offensive capabilities, and you see that in the score. So if you catch a momentum team that gets hot, and you have a team that specializes in defense, that even good defense is allowing these buckets, and they don't have a high-paced 80 or 90-point potential offense, this was a tailor-made upset. Once we got to like a couple minutes into that second half, FAU was ready to roll.
Somebody, Chase, once said the FAU coach is going to get snatched up by another school very quickly. That's what happens in these tournaments.
Business, man.
That happens all the time. You'll see it. I remember when Marquette made their Sweet 16 run. Their head coach obviously got swiped away within a year.
Smart when he initially became VCU.
VCU. Same thing. And that's what you see when these Cinderella teams make a run. These bigger schools are like, oh, this guy did that with this. Imagine what he could do with more money, more recruiting, a better school behind him, and give us a chance. And by the way, rightfully so. But looking at FAU, right, and we'll get into the University of Miami here in a second. Looking at FAU, the fact that they've made it to the Sweet 16 and now they've made it to the Elite 8. Do you have an expectation for them, or should we just enjoy the ride?
Enjoy the ride. That's the point. You're enjoying the ride. And I referenced the house money situation. And when you know that you could pretty much leave the scenario a winner, they won. Whatever happens tomorrow,
they made the Elite Eight.
They won this season.
Yes.
Because their program is getting millions of dollars in unpaid money in terms of advertising and recognition. Millions and millions of dollars. The T-shirts, the hats, all the fun stuff, the money that the university is going to be bringing in because of that, they've already won. So to have the pressure, I'm not saying I'm going into the locker room saying, hey, guys, throw it in. We're not going to win the game. We don't care. That's not from the coaching standpoint. You want to win every game you step onto the court. But if you're a fan, if you're an alum, if you're a student, if you're a professor, if you're a provost, good for you. You already won.
So I just want to throw this out there. FAU scored 62 points to beat Tennessee yesterday. The team that they are playing tomorrow night, Kansas State, played a crazy game against Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Wolverines.
What a
great game. That went into overtime. That game was crazy. But Kansas State scored 98 points. What do you think about tomorrow night's FAU versus Kansas State game?
I'll tell you what, that point guard, Noel, on K-State.
Oh my God, that kid is great, right?
I mean, the only problem I had with him, and the game was in Madison Square Garden, which is Midtown Manhattan. He was shooting from Hoboken a couple of times, so that was a little odd.
Hoboken. Shout out to Hoboken, Black Bear bar there.
If they go, and I'm not saying sorry, but if K-State goes to the Final Four, every team kind of that goes to the Final Four will have like a signature play that we will see forever. The fake argument on the sideline from Noel and the coach.
I know. What did that
that was a fake argument. That was a fabricated play
to bring the player around to the bottom of the basket for the alley oop, and it was gorgeous.
Picture perfect.
It was beautiful.
It was
absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. So they are running into
is definitely going to be favored by a lot tomorrow. I just want to throw that out.
I would say 8. Probably 8.
Minimum. Yeah, look, I mean, don't get it twisted. I want to see FAU beat Florida State. I mean, FAU. I want to see FAU beat Kansas State, but I think it's going to be a tough task tomorrow. But if they do find a way to beat Kansas State and make it into the Final Four, oh, what a story that would be, because it would set up the opportunity for who plays tonight. And who plays tonight? The University of Miami, plays tonight against the number 1 seeded Houston at 7:15 is tip-off. What about the University of Miami? Jim Larrañaga, who, in my opinion, he's probably the best coach remaining out there. I love Jim Larrañaga.
Let me tell you something about New York basketball coaches. Larrañaga from the Bronx, all right? This is my dog. If you're going into an Elite Eight, I mean, this guy's been around the block. He is one of the best coaches out there. Houston is on upset watch. I'm telling you right now, Larrañaga is the kind of coach to outcoach. He's the best. He might be the best coach left in the field. If you're looking at,
I agree. I 100% agree.
He's coming off of the first ever Elite Eight appearance 2 years ago or last year with the squad, and I think this is going to be not only a close game, but this could be like a buzzer beater, nail biter. Let's hope that the U is getting that last shot. This is going to be a game. But Larrañaga and this crew, they're fun to watch when they're on, and I think that they could beat Houston. I do.
Just want to. I'm super excited about tonight's game. I think Miami's got a really legit shot to knock off Houston. I think that they're absolutely awesome, and I'm excited about it. Hey, the women, University of Miami women, also in the Sweet 16. They play at 2:30 this afternoon against Villanova. That game is on ESPN, and I just want to make sure I stout out the women's basketball team for the University of Miami. How awesome would it be if at the end of this, when it's all said and done, the University of Miami on the men's and women's side win the college basketball championship?
It would be great. It would be great for the whole theme of what's going on in Miami that's really turning into a hell of a sports town. Let's be honest with it. And, for a guy like a Jim Larrañaga, let's go way back, way back to when he took George Mason to the Final Four. So this is normal for him. And he's been there. He's been there as an underdog, a heavy underdog. Mm-hmm. The Canes are minor underdogs right now. Mm-hmm. And this is a very attainable task for them to not only beat Houston, but to get to the Final Four. And I think it's going to happen because I initially had them going against Alabama, and then I took them out, and I put in Texas. So I know that I'm going to get upset, and it's going to be the Hurricanes in there.
No perfect brackets at all, by the way, in the world. Every bracket is broken. I think it's going to happen one day. It's going to be pure luck. It'll be pure. I think it will. Before we die, there will be a perfect bracket. Okay, I don't gamble, but man, do I want to ever more than ever with you right now. So that way, when it happens, when we're like 80 years old, we can be like, "I told you, Jason."
The funniest thing is,
hey, real quick, I just saw this in the chat. Want to shout out my man Till Dog. He said, "Good morning, guys. Just dropping in real quick. Just want to say have a great weekend. Unfortunately for me, my mother passed away last week, and her funeral is tomorrow. But starting Monday, I will try to rejoin the fray." Till Dog, you've been a great listener of the show for a long time, brother. I love you, man. I'm sorry about your loss. I hope that you keep your head up and just, I'm going to pray for you, man. I'm going to pray for you and your family, and just know that I love you, man, and keep doing you, man. You're the man, Till Dog. Very sorry for you, Till. Condolences to you and family. All right. Let's segue right into, we're talking about South Florida basketball, and we did the college, but let's talk some NBA. That's right. I'm talking Miami Heat. What's funny about the Miami Heat is about a week and a half ago, we didn't know if the Heat were even going to make the playoffs. We were talking about, man, they're going to get lucky to get 7 through 10. And let me tell you, Okay. So between 7 through 10, or 7 through 11, excuse me, actually more like 5 through 11, there a week, probably 2 weeks ago, which is the last time I probably talked Miami Heat, which is about 2.5 weeks ago. There was probably a 4-game difference. Now, 2 weeks later, week and a half later, 2 weeks later, the Heat are sitting at the 6th seed. They don't have to play in the tournament as of now. There's 4 games left for them in the season, and they're 2 games behind the Knicks, who have lost 3 straight. So the Miami Heat, when it's all said and done, can end up as the 5th seed, getting to play Cleveland instead of the 6th seed that would they'd have to go and play Philadelphia. So Miami Heat getting in, not having to play in the play-in tournament. That's a big deal, right, Jason?
I mean, of course, anytime you can go up to the normal tier and not have to be in the, secondary grouping, you could look at it as a positive.
So basically the play-in tournament is something new that happened in the last few years. There's 8 teams that make the playoffs, but 7 through 10, at the end of the year, there's like a 4-day or 3-day off between the end of the season and the start of the playoffs. And in that time frame, there's a tournament. And what happens is 7 and 8 play each other, and 9 and 10 play each other. The winner of 7 and 8 automatically gets the 7th seed. Okay. And then the loser, 8, the loser of 7 and 8 has to play the winner of 9 and 10. And then the winner of that gets the 8th seed. So it allows at the end of the year, these teams that are sitting at 8, 9, and 10, the opportunity to get into the playoffs. I like it personally. I think it's cool for college basketball. You grow up doing all these tournaments in AAU basketball and everything. And I just like the fact that the NBA kind of decided to adopt a tournament style for, it's a mini thing. It's a 2-day, 3-day thing, but it's still pretty cool. It brings you back to the AAU days. Look, do the Heat want to play the Cavaliers or do they want to play the 76ers? That's the next question. And are the Knicks going to lose the last 3 in order for that to happen? Because the Knicks are going to have to lose the last 3 and the Heat are going to have to win the last 3 in order for that to happen. And just so y'all know, the Heat's final games are against the, just want to throw this out there. Final games for the Heat are, actually there's a few more than 3 games left. I don't know why my app says there's 3. All right. Anyways, you got the Nets, the Raptors, the Knicks again, the Mavericks, the Pistons, the Sixers, the Wizards, and the Magic. So there's 8 games left for the Heat. 8 games left for the Heat, and they're 2 games back. And the Knicks' final games are, they have 7 games left. And they have the Rockets, the Heat, the Cavs, the Wizards, the Pacers, the Pelicans, and the Pacers. So the Knicks' final 3 games will be a little bit easier, but they still have to face the Heat, the Cavs, and the Rockets left up in there from the West. And so, look, I'm going to say this. Miami's getting that 5th seed. I'm just throwing that out there right now. And I think that Bam Adebayo is going to be a huge force into moving that team into the next level. Bam took a big step up this year. Cameron, last time he was on 2 weeks ago, which is when we talked about this, said that if the Heat don't make it past the second round, that the Heat could tear down everything and start from scratch again. They could rebuild. What do you think about that? Maybe Pat Riley leaving the Heat. Do you think that's something that could happen? Or Eric Spoelstra maybe leaving? Like, there's been rumors about this over the last several weeks. Small ones. But nonetheless, at minimum, tearing everything down, trading away Jimmy Butler, and starting from scratch again. The NBA is a little bit different than other things. What would you say about that?
I mean, Pat Riley can call it a career, and I don't think anybody could say anything negative. Yeah, what a hell of a career. Several franchises, championships, building, coaching, yada, yada. The Heat have had a heck of a 2-decade run, I guess. When you put into the Wade era, you put into, obviously, LeBron. And Jimmy tried to get that next kind of notch in their belt there. But you might have to. You might have to see what you can do and press that reset button. I don't know about Spoelstra staying or going, but Riley should probably walk into the sunset. He's already there, and Miami just live the life, bud. He's had a great run.
Real quick, just as a side note, everybody knows I'm a huge LeBron fan. Maybe you've heard of him. Maybe you've heard of this guy named LeBron James. He's not playing at this particular moment. The Lakers are currently sitting in the 10th seed out in the West, but they are essentially 3 games out of the 5th seed. So they're their 10th seed, sitting 3 games out of the 5th seed. And the Lakers currently, their remaining games are against the Thunder, 2 games against the Chicago Bulls, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Houston Rockets, 2 more games against the Utah Jazz. They get to play the Clippers in one and the Phoenix Suns against the one. Do the Lakers get in? Do they make the playoffs? And if so, are they going to be a play-in team? Or could you see them getting the 5 or 6 with 7 games left, being 3 games out of the 5th seed?
Oh, they'll get it. They'll get it.
I believe that.
Okay.
I think they're going to get into. I'm pretty excited to see the West is a lot weaker than I thought it was going to be this year. I see Jay Miami Sports seeing that. I agree with that. They were, big. Chase One says Spo is young and is already one of 4 coaches with at least 700 wins with one team. I agree, man. Jay Miami Sports says Spo will go up to the office and they'll bring in a new coach. That's a possibility too, right? That's Spoelstra's been there his entire
20 years
career.
left of coaching easy. He's a young man.
100%. All right, enough about basketball. Let's transition into Miami Dolphins, which is why most of you, if not all of you, are currently here. Miami Dolphins, some news. We're going to go to a couple of different places with our conversation today. One of the places I want to talk about is this guy named DJ Fluker. DJ Fluker was actually on the Miami Dolphins roster last year, but didn't play due to an injury. Just currently curious as to know, what do you think about this whole DJ Fluker deal? He was, and for those of you who don't know, DJ Fluker was at Alabama's Pro Day yesterday. He's an University of Alabama graduate, played there. And so Nick Saban invited him to the Pro Day workout so that scouts will be there seeing these guys. Hey, by the way, I love that about college football, that, they'll allow pro football players to come back, free agents, to have another quote unquote pro day so that scouts can see them. But just curious as to your thoughts about the DJ Fluker situation in Alabama yesterday.
I mean, for the player, it's great because he's, former first-round draft pick, had injury woes. When he's healthy and when he's right, he's a very fine tackle, offensive lineman. He can play a couple different spots. He had a little bit of a, minute or 2, cup of coffee with the Dolphins before he got hurt. So this is a situation where if he's healthy, if he's right, and the Dolphins are doing their due diligence, which they are, and they give him a flyer, great. That's fantastic. And if he could battle, and this is what I've been kind of saying in reverberating the overall thoughts of what Chris Greer has been putting out there. He has said, and has basically trickled in between the lines with saying this, that while he'd like to see Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg, without saying these words, win the job, there will be competition. They will try to find some areas to try to see if they can bring in depth. They've danced around it. Sure, those 2 might be penciled in these spots, right tackle, left guard. But that does not mean that they're not doing their due diligence up to the very end, which is evident with Fluker. If they bring Fluker on, I think it's a terrific aspect for competition. And if he battles out and beats Austin Jackson, or if they decide to move him somewhere else on the line, fantastic. But they are doing their due diligence, and this is not the only case. So they're not sleepy. They're not done. They're doing their due diligence. And this is the perfect example.
What about to people that say, as far as the DJ Fluker situation is concerned, oh my God, it's just as good as the underwear Olympics, or oh man, he's doing it against, he's stout, he's showing out against, college players and just drills to make him look good. But everything I read on social media yesterday, and from people that cover the NFL, people that are in the media that do a lot of scouting work, Fluker looked crazy good. Crazy good. So is that just hype, or is there substance to this?
Probably a little bit of both. The breakdown, I don't know. I wasn't there. And like you and like many, and most of us, we're secondarily getting the information by the people that were there and by the social media content. I haven't heard negatives. So it's a good thing, So I think that if the boxes check, if they can get, a good friendly contract going, I think it's a huge win. And I still don't even believe that they will be done. I really, truly believe that they're calling teams, seeing if there's potential deals.
By the way, I just want to throw this out there. I said Fluker was with us last year. It was the year before.
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago. Sorry about that. But
the Dolphins have done a lot with players, and a lot of players haven't worked out. I mean, he's one of them. The Dolphins, not save of trying, they've made a couple of big misses on players that they've tried to acquire and fill holes. But again, they're going to do their due diligence. And I think there are 3 or 4 situations in which they're feverishly working right now. And if they are not going to sit back and be as happy as imaginable on a potential move, they're just not going to do it.
Look, I've had plenty of conversations with fans and with people within the media and other YouTube creators, content creators. And it's funny because there seems to be this approach from Grier that's low risk, high reward, but he is always willing to take a flyer on a former injured player and bring them indoors. Now, with somebody like Fluker, we're not going to be the only team asking for his services after that pro day. And we all know that offensive line is somewhere in the NFL where people just want to find that diamond in the rough, or, from the standpoint of how can they go about making this team better or making that position as a whole better. So when you find somebody like Fluker, how does Miami sit there to Fluker and say, hey, look, we can't give you the most money probably, because I have a feeling they won't offer him the most money, but we think this is the best opportunity for you to come here and play on a winning organization. What is Grier going to do to recruit somebody like Fluker in this situation?
It's a great question. And every player is different and every scenario is different. And in this particular one with Fluker, my feeling, being that there was injury history, being that, this is, I guess, for a reserve, potentially starting role. This isn't a starter home run role. Grier will have his line, and if he wants to bring him on board, he'll offer that line. And if the agent,
I think that the thing here, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think the thing here is you're going to get a chance to compete, TJ. You want to come? You want to come an opportunity to start? Right. You're going to get a chance to compete here. We got a couple positions open up on this offensive line that are open competitions. You want to come here and compete? Come on, man. We'd love to see if you can do it all over again. I'm willing to take a flyer on you because I think you have a great personality, and because everything I've read about him as a person have been great. I've never heard anything off the field that's made it bad. It's been his injuries that have been an issue. Right. But I know that some of the fans are looking at it like, oh my God, are we taking a flyer on another injured player? What is Grier doing? How is this addressing the offensive line needs?
And again, with Grier, and this, you can say it's great. You can say whatever you want about it. He has his patterns, and he is fiscally, he's thrifty in certain areas.
I like that. He's thrifty. I like areas. That. Other fans probably won't like that word to be.
But let me try to wrap this all up in his overall budgeting. He's thrifty in areas where you really, I guess, should be thrifty. If you're looking at where you've also been very, very, I guess, not caring of the money spent. He's gone out and he's taken care of a huge amount of talent when it comes to Tyreek Hill, when it comes to getting Jalen Ramsey, bringing in Teron Armstead, health aside, bringing in, Bradley Chubb in a trade. Yes, the offensive line is this weird, what is he thinking, or where's the thought process here? And he's the kind of guy that is really trying to make a home run with a guy like a Fluker if he's bringing him off the scrap heap. But there's a stubbornness of not wanting to give up on that first round pick. So I think he's trying to cover his bases by bringing in someone who might be able to take that job away from Austin Jackson, but he's not going to blow the bank up for this particular role. So I don't know if we're going to sign a Dalton Risner, a left guard, or anyone like a Filer at right tackle. He's going to chop off the scrap heap for offensive line depth and battle it out in camp, I believe.
All right, so this time of year, pro days are happening everywhere across the country. It was rumored that McDaniel and Greer were at Alabama's pro day yesterday. We know that we saw pictures of people in Miami Dolphin logos that look to be scouts there. How does the scouting department kind of work this time of year for the, maybe for the Dolphins, but just in general in all of football? Does Greer have a meeting before pro days and kind of say, all right, guys, look, here's the positions we need to kind of look for? What is Greer talking to the scouting department about? And what are scouts going to be looking for at these pro days? And what type of things do you think they're going to be giving back to Greer and McDaniel, for that matter, to say, all right, guys, here we go. This is what we got. Here's a list of 100 people. We scouted 100 people. This is kind of what we've seen. And is there, when it comes to scouting, somebody who has many years of experience compared to a new scout, are they not necessarily going to hear a new guy over somebody who has tenure when it comes to the scouting department?
It's great questions. And I think that, the easy answer is across all 32 teams, all these departments are ran maybe 32 different ways. But for the Dolphins scouting department, there's about 10 people there under Greer. Like there's about 10 people in the scouting department. There's your director of scouting, there's regional scouting, there's pro scouting, there's college scouting, there's this, that, and the third, what have you. So Greer, that's where he comes from. He was not the general manager 20 years ago for the Dolphins. He was a pro scout. He was the director of scouting. He was regional scouting.
He was the director of pro scouting for a while for our team.
Right. So with that, I think that he has in working in tandem with Marvin Allen, his assistant GM, I think that they have a terrific hierarchy of them, director of scouting, regional scouting, pro scouting. So I think it's a really good pyramid. It's not a scheme. I think it's a really good hierarchy org chart of scouts. And within that, their strategy, I can't tell you. I don't know. But I do know that they have the right guy running the department because that's where he's been. And if you really look at all the talent that he's found, I think he's hitting around 63%, 65% of success rate. And that's looking back and drafting a Laramie Tunsil, drafting a guy, even if you want to consider Minkah Fitzpatrick not a good Dolphin, he drafted the best safety in the class and an all-pro, he's turned other draft picks into draft picks in the future. So there are negatives. There are mistakes that he's made, but overall in talent,
I think every GM has that. But to get off the Greer for a second, to me, I feel like this is probably the most important time of year for the Dolphins in general, because we're not looking at top 10 or even top 25 talent. We're looking at talent's position, ranks 30 through 150. And so I think that those guys who have started for 4 years, these seniors, a lot of juniors and seniors, more seniors than juniors, that have started for 3 or 4 years with their program. Those are the guys that I want to see probably come into this team. We got 5 draft picks this year, 5. So you can't really necessarily miss on the second or third round pick, in my opinion. You want it to be somebody of quality. They don't necessarily need to turn themselves into a starter. If you like somebody, you can be, a positional player or, situational player. But I need somebody who can come in here and make a difference day one. So how do these scouts translate that to kind of go into more detail from the standpoint of, hey, I think this guy is going to fit our scheme of what you're trying to find at the offensive line position or the tight end position. Let's look at the tight ends. Dolphins are going to be looking at tight ends in the draft, 100%, right?
Sure.
So do they have a list? They probably have a list of 25 guys that they're looking at, and they're probably saying, okay, scouts, go out. Let's go look at these 25 guys. Let's come back to the drawing board and say, okay, this person does this well. This person does this. And they probably have to grade them, I would assume, on kind of the same curve so that they can stack them up against each other. Do scouts care more about the underwear Olympics and these pro days rather than, hey, I saw that and I was there live, but I also watched 100 hours of this guy's game film, And this is what that shows me. What's more important, the pro days? Because it seems that sometimes pro days can increase somebody from a third round to a second round. Or does the last 4 years of their playing career mean more?
There are a lot of factors that go into all this, and every single thing is part of it. The Underwear Olympics are big, but there are players who never went to the combine and had pro days, and it either helped or hurt them. I'll give you a real quick story. And this is backdated, true. You could go do the due diligence, but Nick Needham he was not invited to the combine. He was undrafted. We all know this. He had a pro day at UTEP, and a quirk of that pro day, and this is a pro day at his own school. When he was running the 40, it was a horrible day in terms of weather. The wind was like 30 miles an hour. And everyone ran against the wind and with the wind. And Needham's time was a couple of tenths of a second faster with the wind, of course. The reporter sent in one time for each runner, and he sent in the against the wind times. So during Needham's pro day, he was slow, but that was running into 30-mile-an-hour wind, most like everyone else from UTEP. So these numbers, these things can be misleading. They're not the end-all, be-all. Tape matters. Coaching matters in terms of getting that reference, calling up a high school or college coach, an assistant. There's so many factors that go in prior to making a person a drafted player, a signed player, trading for. There's so many factors, Stephen. So many.
I don't disagree with you. It's funny, Ken is in there saying tape matters more than the last 4 years. I think there's truth in that statement, because it's always that what have you done for me lately scenario, or what have I seen lately? And if somebody hasn't necessarily been invited to the combine, to me, that's irrelevant at that point, because most people that are at the combine are vying for a top, 50 pick, top 60. They want to be in the top 60 picks. I think for most people that are at the combine. Now, with that being said, okay, I think these pro days have become such a big thing over the last several years. Hell, the last 10 years, right? Last 10, 15 years, pro days are so much more aggressive than they were 10, 15 years ago. Because now there's 50, 60 scouts at a lot of these pro days, plus GMs, plus head coaches. And there's, and it's funny because they have to stack up these pro days. So University of Texas and Texas, TCU don't have their pro days on the same day so that they can have the same amount of scouts there too at the same time. It's so funny because I remember like last year, I went and looked at all this and I was like, man, I can't believe how they've timed this out across the country to make sure that scouts are at somewhere during people's pro days. And you go look at Power 5 schools. There's not a lot of Power 5 schools that have their pro days on the same day. They all have them spaced out so that there's enough scouts and the right people are there watching them. And by right people, I mean GMs, head coaches, scouts, obviously. So, I think that people do take a lot of stock into it, because the thing about a game film that doesn't show you when you're there firsthand watching somebody is them. And I think that GMs and head coaches look for they want to see the talent. I'm sure that there's, a measuring stick of, okay, they need to at least do this or they need to at least do that. But for example, with the Nick Needham story, that didn't show everything of what he could become. And the Dolphins obviously took a chance on him. Same with Cater Kahu as an undrafted free agent. There was something about these guys that a scout loved and said, hey, we need this guy on our 53. Like, he's going to make a difference.
I'm going to piggyback off this, and I'm going to give Chris Greer's flowers when he deserves them. I will also rip him to shreds when he deserves that too. I will. But what he has done very well prior to being a GM, he had found a number of quality players that he has reported up, including, if you listen to the Fish Tank, Rashad Jones will tell you, Chris Greer spotted him. Even Seth Levitt said, all right, so we're gonna put that into Chris Greer's belt. Yeah, found Rashad Jones, 5th-round draft pick, and Rashad Jones found his way, special teams, then became one of the best defensive
So a
backs.
scout didn't find Rashad Jones. Chris Greer did at a pro day.
Not the overall process. Greer advocated in his scouting for a guy from Georgia, Rashad Jones.
Okay.
The cooks were in the kitchen, and Chris Greer was wearing one of the hats for Rashad Jones. Let's call it like that.
And Chris Greer at that time had no final say, so he was just
he was a pro scout director.
Okay.
He was up in the upper echelon of the scouting department. He was wearing a collared shirt. He wasn't wearing a suit and tie.
So does that real quick? Let's dive into this a little bit more. So when Greer now, who's at the head of the table, when he used to not be, when somebody that was in Greer's shoes, like he was, is he willing to listen to it more because he's been in that shoe before?
You know what? I'd like to hope so. What I would like to hope that is not the case is maybe a stubbornness of maybe saying, listen, I've been there. I wouldn't do it that way. I don't believe in this report because I've done it this way. And no. So I don't want him to kind of like bang his chest saying, no, I've done it this way. You're going to do it my way. I would like him to be a little bit more open, knowing that Greer might have been 15 years ago in a position to pound on the table for a guy like a Rashad Jones. So maybe if there's a director or a regional scout doing the same for a guy like a Cater Kohu, maybe it is someone like, look, I'll give Josh Boyer credit. Josh Boyer did pick up the phone to call Nick Needham and did suggest Cater Kohu amongst others. So talent evaluation and coaching are very different animals as well. So a director of regional scouting giving the report up to the GM who's been there, I would love for there to be like that kind of coordination and thought process, you know?
Look, I would, and we need to try to get an NFL scout up here, just to kind of get more detail on kind of how the relationship works between scouting and, you know, the relationship between scouting and front office and how that kind of works. And, you know, it's funny, right? Like I'm a huge baseball fan, and baseball, there's 100 rounds of baseball, you know, when it comes to the draft. But, you know, we've all seen the Derek Jeter, you know, card from the scouts stating, I don't necessarily think he bats well. He doesn't necessarily run well. He doesn't do this. So let's play the opposite effect. When a scout doesn't like a player and they give him a bad report card, and then that person turns out to be, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a great example in the NFL. His draft report card was trash. It was bad. Millions of scouts got that wrong. So why is it that scouts insert, and let's talk the negative here. When scouts get it wrong, why is it that, why do they get it wrong? What are they looking at that somebody can't see? But Belichick saw something. Belichick saw something enough to take him in the 6th round and say, you know what? I like this guy. I think there's something about him that I like. But 100 scouts gave him a bad report card. What happens in those situations?
It's a hell of a question. It really is. I mean, you have evaluators of talent in football and sports and business that make hiring decisions that can break companies, set companies back a couple of years, put teams forward. For someone like a Tom Brady, the intangibles, the height, the weight, the arm strength, the speed, it wasn't all there on paper. But what certain things are immeasurable, your heart, your dedication, your ability to go into the classroom. And I'm going to flip it. I'm not going to talk about Tom Brady. I'm talking about Zach Thomas. Because Zach Thomas was a 5th-round draft pick, and he'll to this day tell you the 17 linebackers that were taken ahead of him. So he used that as motivation. What Zach Thomas used that as motivation, he translated into making up for anything that he didn't have physically into here and into here. Not everybody has that.
I agree.
It's dependent on the person, because a person could maybe be sitting there day 2 and day 3 of a draft and wonder why they're not going. And you see them at their house, or you see them maybe if they're still in the green room, and you might see it on their face. You might see their demeanor, and that could be a tell. Maybe here and here isn't matching what's on the field. And then there's the flip sides of it. Tons and tons of factors. But the greatest athletes in the world might not be mentally tough for this league. And the toughest mental and you know, people who could overcome their physical, you know, shortcomings it's heart and it's head. Those are things that the underwear Olympics, I don't think really can measure. You got to get them on the field. You got to get them on the field. And something else about Rashad Jones that I want to talk about just in overall, and I'll tie this into a guy like an Austin Eckler. I mean, these are guys who are stars at their position. Rashad was a star at his position. They started out as special teams. You could have a rookie get drafted a little bit further back than they would have liked. And they could sulk their way through camp. They could have a chip on their shoulder in a negative way, talk about opportunity, talk about lack of opportunity. Or you have a guy say, you know what? I'm going to be a special teamer. I'm going to work my ass off on special teams, and they're going to have to find a role for me. I'm not a safety. I'm not a wide receiver. I'm not a running back. I'm not a linebacker. I'm a guy who's going to run on special teams and cover someone as a rookie. You can't jump into all these guys' heads and hearts, and that's the difference sometimes. That's the difference. And we see it on the Dolphins for at least 3 players, at least.
You know, one of the things that I find interesting when it comes to the conversation of Greer or just in general hits and misses in certain aspects of certain positions are the opportunities for players to get those special teams opportunities, right? You talk about Nick Needham. I'll talk about a guy like Walt Aikens. Walt Aikens for years in the NFL was one of the top special teams players. And he was an average, defensive back, or in the secondary. He was average there. But at the end of the day, he was a great special teams player and lasted in the NFL a lot longer because of his special teams play more than his play in the secondary, right? So, yeah. So I say exactly, he was, right? His leadership in the locker room, off the field or on the field, that all made a difference. So I say all that to talk about a guy like Eric Ezukanma. Eric Ezukanma, I'm a huge fan of. And he had such a great preseason last year. And I've had this conversation before on this channel where I've been like, I never understood why he could not see he was a healthy scratch a lot last year. Now, I've also come to realize, it's been shown to me that, he has publicly said he could not grasp the playbook as well as some of the other players, which is why he was a healthy scratch a lot last year. But just because you don't necessarily grasp the playbook, or just because you don't come out the gate being a great player, over time, Walt Aikens had to grow into that player. Rashad Jones had to grow from a special teams player to one of the best secondary, at his position in the entire NFL. So I think the other thing is fans and patience and understanding that players take time to develop sometimes. It is not an overnight sensation. It's not something that's going to happen at the click of a heel. And somebody like Liam Eichenberg, who I know a lot of people trash and think is a bust, and maybe he is, right? But that also plays into the account of he's had 3 different offensive line coaches the 3 different years he's been here, right? And so how does anybody gain continuity if 3 different people come in here trying to change his technique 3 different ways to Sunday? You know what I'm saying? Or 2 different ways to Sunday. And I that's what gives me a lot of hope about Tua this year, right? He's got a 2nd straight year with a playbook. The same playbook, the same coaching, the same person in his ear calling the plays, the same people that are in the backfield with him, the same wide receivers. Continuity and being able to have repetition upon repetition over the period of 2 seasons compared to just 1 season, I think means everything.
Beyond an agreement, massive agreement here, because not only that, you also have the first year where Coach McDaniel can look back to his year, evaluate what he did with his team, and then work with the personnel departments to figure out who else to bring on in. See, last year he was a new guy who didn't have any data on him or his team from Miami. So this is such great continuity, and especially for a guy like an Eric Ezukanma. Let's take away Trent Sherfield. Now, Trent Sherfield is a Bill. Say what you want. Had a nice year with us. Good riddance. Good luck to you. Now, Sherfield, I think, put a block on the amount of reps, even in practice, that Eric Ezukanma could have gotten. And when someone says maybe the playbook wasn't grasped, I don't equate that into route tree or freelance getting open for Ezukanma. I think that's blocking. I don't think he got the blocking down. I don't think he got the dirty work down. If he could do that and he can get on the field, I think that he could replace Sherfield very adequately. But that is what I think maybe the intricacies of McDaniel's schemes and blocking. That's why Sherfield was so valuable. So him leaving has an opening. I'd love to see him on the field, but then, of course, you have Braxton Barrios come in. Let's see what happens with Cedric Wilson. But, you know, I think that a guy like Ezukama, hopefully, he looks at this as an opportunity and he just gets whatever his playbook issues were last year. He gets it down and he gets on the field because that was the issue, not save of talent.
Yeah, man. Look, I think that's such a big deal. And when you look at it, you know, I feel like that's for me, and it's funny, right? Because the conversation we're having as a fan base are, I'm sick of, you know, the mediocrity that has been the Miami Dolphins for 20 plus years. Oh, I've seen this storybook before. I don't think so. My personal opinion, and I've said this before, the Dolphins are doing something that they have not done in the last 25 years. They're all on the same page. They all have a viewpoint of how they're going. I think somebody in the chat a little bit ago said, Kenna said, the problem with Ross and Greer is they don't know what they want to identify. They don't know what they want the identity of this team to be before they don't know what players to look for. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think they know exactly what the identity of this team is going to be on the offensive side, top 10 in the offense. Neil Driscoll just tweeted a little bit ago this morning that he recently watched every snap of the Miami Dolphins 2021 season or 2022 season. And he said that Tua for 75% of the year played like a top 10 quarterback in the league. And he's probably a top 10 player in the league. I love that. I love that assessment. I think it's a very accurate assessment. But fans only want to see the negative of what they've seen because it mirrors the mediocrity of what they've seen for the last 20 years with this team.
But here's what I want to implore to everyone out there. It's like, yes, I understand that Chris Greer was in the building, but you don't drive a car from the back seat. You're in the car. But if you're like the fifth person down, you're not doing much. Randy Mueller, Dennis Hickey, Jeff Ireland, Mike Tannenbaum. These were guys that were above Greer, who were making decisions that they were maybe even reading the man's reports and saying, no, going to do it my way. Not saying that happened all the time, but I'm saying that Greer was just a person. He wasn't making the decisions in 2006, 2009. And then, of course, you have coaching inconsistency, as you've referenced. Nick Saban, Joe Philbin, Adam Gase, Flores. Now we got McDaniel. Talk about the coordinations. There's been no consistency with the plan. Yep. Now there's a little bit of momentum.
And granted, this is year 2. Granted, you know, we've had 2 of the last 3 or 2 of the last 4 coaches. I'm not sure exactly how many. They got to the playoffs their first year or second year, but didn't do it any of the following years. I understand that there are some mirrors to where we're currently at as the franchise. I don't think a full mirror, but I think there are some parallels. That's probably a better way to put it. But the reality of the situation is everybody seems to be on the same page from the owner all the way down to the quarterback. And I don't remember the last time that's happened with this franchise ever.
Oh, that's
my history.
That's an agreement. I mean, we've had the rug pulled out from under us a lot in the last 20 years. And that goes from Saban leaving. That goes from, you know, all these, you know, pick problems and the bully gate and all these stupid scenarios that just who needs to see, you know? But once we got, I think the clock really should fairly be 1 year in. Because
you think everything should start now?
As far as
fan evaluation and how they should judge
being a contender.
Okay, that's fair.
2020 going into the Laramie Tunsil hall of a draft, that was ground zero rebuild, right? So 2019, 2020 was rebuild. 2021 was, all right, the structure looks pretty good. Yeah, maybe we could sneak our way in and make some noise here. Didn't happen. Last year, they bring in Tariq. They making all these moves. The rebuild's done. They are constructed, and they made the playoffs. That I'm counting this year as part of the contending year. 2022 was year 1 in what I believe is a 4-year window to hoist a trophy but that doesn't mean the window will be closed. 3 year. I'm gonna go 3 year. 3 year.
Hold up real quick. Scar 305 says you do know we got worse on offense, right? No, we didn't,
No,
sir. We were top what?
Table that for a second.
Let me tell you who was total offense for in the NFL. Scar 305. If you didn't know this, I'm about to educate you, my guy. Okay. Kansas City Chiefs were number 1. Buffalo Bills were number 2. The Philadelphia Eagles were number 3. Detroit Lions were number 4. The San Francisco 49ers were number 5. And who was number 6? The Miami Dolphins. They had a top 6 defense or offense in the NFL last year. What do you mean they got worse?
They didn't get worse. They didn't get Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook, and relax, because those aren't the only reasons that can make this offense better. Sometimes continuity makes a team better, and the only thing that they lost was a 3rd or 4th target at the moment. But they've brought in a Barrios who could.
And by the way, we're strictly talking offense. We're not even talking defense.
And
we're not even on the defensive side of the ball. We're talking strictly offense. And by the way, that's an offense. That's total team. That's 5 games without Tua. That's 5 games with Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson.
And here's another thing to point out too, because obviously everyone loves looking at stats. Everyone loves looking at the Google, loves looking at the raw numbers, and obviously you could didact anything you want from that. I don't care about stats the next year or 5. And I'm going to tell you why on offense. This defense can create short fields. This defense can get back to turning the ball over.
Yep.
And what this offense is going to be hopefully built on, they're just keeping the defense fresh and off the field and extending the clock. Just keeping themselves picking up first downs. And I don't need one runner to get me 1,400 yards. I just need a consistency of 4.8 yards per carry and run the ball. This offense does not need to be number 1. They need to be within the top 12. The defense needs to be within the top 5. If that happens, they are a massive playoff contender. Like Super Bowl. Top 12 on offense, top 5 on defense, which is extremely doable. Team's dangerous.
Hey, Miami Sports Music's number 1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Donate to the channel, help the channel grow, and most importantly, share the link. Let people know that we're on and we're live right now, and you guys can get into the chat as long as you're a subscriber to the channel. Look, to go back into the conversation about the consistency or where this offense is at, where the Dolphins are at. I'm about to slang some hopium to you people. So where all my hopium addicts are at, get ready, line up, have look, I'm slanging that hopium 2 for 15, 2 for 15, slanging the hopium right now. Okay, that's my new thing on the show, Jason. They said I'm a hopium dealer, so I'm running with it. Okay?
In the veins, man, in the veins.
I'm all about it. I'm cooking it up. This is a hopium house. Okay, I like it.
Well, you got the right customer.
Look, the Dolphins had a top 6 offense in the NFL last year, brought in top 3 defensive coordinator in the entire NFL. We already have a great foundation on defense, right? Javon Holland, Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler. I mean, I'm missing a million other people. I'm hoping that people will start joining in. I mean, there's a million other people on there. Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, David Long now. I mean, it's going to get better and better and better and better and better and better and better. I don't know what else needs to be done besides the offensive line, which we all have sat up here and preached the Dolphins need to address. We all have said that, including me. And I believe that they will. Cater Kahoo, somebody said, there we go. I'm waiting for people to get in the chat. Where are my hopium people at? Bonjo says, yes, let's start judging now. And if we fail, start judging next year. It, Stephen.
Again,
let's just move the goalpost every effing year like we have been doing. Why not?
How could you judge this team that now includes, I mean, do you realize how many more first-round draft picks this team has brought in since 2020? There are a slew of them This team is much more talented than they were 2 years ago. So I am starting this core: Tyreek, Chubb, Armstead, Tua, Waddle, Phillips, Holland, Kahoo, Wilkins, Sealer, Holland, Jones, Ramsey. This core has come together starting last year when they traded for Tyreek Hill, when they signed Connor Williams, when they brought in Teron Armstead, when they brought in the other 15, 16 free agents. So the rebuild was from 2019 to 2021. Now we're going AB after build. We're through year 1. Now we're in year 2 AB. And Obama, whatever. There is no way you could hold 2 years ago's team compared to this year's team, which is
but people do,
which is fine. But that's why I'm pleading with setting last year as the start of the constructed clock. I don't want to hear any more of this rebuild. This is a finished New York City skyscraper with all the bells and whistles. There's no more excuses. So if they don't win a playoff game this year, my tone is going to be a lot more. I'm going to be hot. I'm going to be upset because this team is built to host a playoff game. This team is built to make noise in a second round playoff game. And with a little luck, this is the season that they could be contending for a Super Bowl. And 2024 is the year to win it. That's the year to circle. 2024, I've been saying it. That's the year to win it. So if they do, I would give Tua the contract and the keys to the car, the islands, or whatever else he needs. Because why? He won you a damn Super Bowl with the team around him. Then you cross the bridge when you get to it with everything else. If for the next year or two, they cannot go into the upper echelon of the league, that's when you'll hear me go uber critical.
Andres, explain to me how I'm sounding like a broken record for over 20 years. And Andres, you're my guy. I love you. I just want to know how I'm sounding like a broken record. I don't understand. And I know not just me, right? Like I know you haven't listened to me for 20 years. I've only been doing this 2.5, 3 years, right? But I don't remember that being the case over the last 20 years. I remember fans being hyped when we get a player and overhyping it. I don't think there's overhype here. We had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We've had 2 1,000-yard receivers. You know the last time that happened, Andres? The Marx Brothers. Long time ago, okay? Long time ago. I love Duper, love Clayton, but it was a long time ago, gentlemen, okay? Now, don't mean to call you old. But at the end of the day, it was, right? It's been a long time since we've had Ricky in the building. Okay?
Let me explain something.
I don't understand. I don't understand how we're sounding.
Something to Noob right now. Let me explain something to Noob. I think they can win a Super Bowl in 2024. That doesn't mean, I don't want to win in 2023. Fuck it. They could do that too, but I'm not going to look at them if they make it to the AFC Championship game and lose and fall short to a superior team because they're not the best 2 teams in the AFC. I'd like to consider them a top 5. So if they win a playoff game, make it to an AFC Championship game, fall a little short, who's upset? Let's really, really dissect this. And then going into 2024, they could be one of the top 2 or 3 people who are locked and loaded to win a Super Bowl. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's called setting an expectation where if the Dolphins, again, win a playoff game and make noise this year, I'm playing with house money and I'm loving life knowing that they have the ability to win a Super Bowl this year, next year. And you know what? Keep this group together the best way you can. The next 2 years is going to be a lot of fun football, I believe. But I don't think potentially falling short this year is anything unrealistic. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. The Dolphins are one of them.
Noob says, hey, they're a top 6 defense with an improved, they're a top 6 defense with an improved defense. The Super Bowl isn't the goal this year. Dang, maybe I should be a Texans fan so I don't have
I don't think. All right, so if we
haven't we heard this for 20 years? This is a year in, year on and year and on and on and on. No, all right, let's talk facts, okay? Jason, help me out. I need you to get by a computer. Let's talk facts, okay? When was the last time the Dolphins had a top 10 offense in the NFL? Can you look that up? When was the last time the Miami Dolphins?
94 or 95.
Huh?
I think it was 94 or 95. A long time ago. Give me a minute.
I just want I don't want anything to say Steven.
Before this year, of course. I mean, prior to this season.
I understand. I don't want the Stevens out here putting false narratives. No, let's talk facts. Because I'm gonna break this thing down. I just want to make sure we all know the last time the Miami Dolphins had a top 10 offense in the NFL. Jameer Oakley said Wildcat season. LOL. Maybe. I don't know.
Because there was no passing efficiency.
Yeah, I don't think it was a top 10 offense in the NFL.
There was no passing yards. They were great in running, but no, I'm.
J.R. Black, Steven and Jason, the fan want to hold on to rebuilding. They don't want to admit the progress.
During the Wildcat year, they were the 12th ranked overall offense, and I'm still going back to the beginning of the century, and they're nowhere near the top 10 other than that year.
So let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, and until we can get a clarification on it, we're going to say 95, 96 was the last time.
94. My answer is 94.
94 was the last time. 94 was
94. They were ranked number 1. Steven,
okay.
94. They were ranked number 1. 95 was the last time ranked number 8.
Okay, so 95 was the last time the Miami Dolphins had a top 10 total offense in the NFL. Okay, I believe we went to the AFC Championship game in 93, right? Am I right in saying that?
That wasn't the year. I think it was 92, and then 94 they went to the divisional against San Diego and lost.
Okay, all right. Nonetheless, the last time we had a top 10 offense in the NFL was 30 years ago. You're telling me that I'm preaching the same stuff that people have been hyping up as Dolphin fans for the last 20 years. Well, number one, let's give credit where credit's due. We haven't had a top 10 offense in 30 years. That's one. Okay.
There you go.
Number two reason to hype this team up. We've had 2 wide receivers at over 1,000 yards receiving. The last time we had that, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton. Reason number 3 to hype up this team. Tyreek Hill alone. Did he not break the all-time receiving record for the Miami Dolphins in receiving yards? Jason, confirm. He did.
No, you're rolling. Keep going.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure we're all on the same page. Okay? I'm just making sure. And for 75% of the season, it is arguable and debatable, I will admit it's arguable and debatable and maybe a perception. People might say 50% of the year. Some people might say 70. So you know what? Here's my statement, my blanket statement. For over half the season, the starting quarterback of this team played at an MVP type level. The last time we had an MVP type level quarterback, don't worry, I'll wait. His name was Dan Marino. Did he win us a Super Bowl? He didn't. So there's 4 to 5 reasons right there to be hype on the offense alone. All right, Steven, why is this different than any other year that compared to the last 20 years? Here's another reason. Let's go to the defense. When was the last time? Oh, well, you know what? Here's the thing. We have had J.R. Black, Steven, you losing people with your facts. I know I'm losing people with my facts. I get it. I understand it. All right, here we go. The Dolphins, when it's all said and done, we've had some top 10 defenses over the last 20 years. Okay? We've had some really good defenses over the last 20 years. Defenses to be proud of. But we've never had the offense to back it up. We can all agree that there is a good amount of the fan base that predicts this defense will be a top 10 with Vic Fangio. Not saying it's going to happen. We have to wait and see, right? We have to wait and see. But look at the players, the foundation of the players that we have here. On defense, okay? Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler, Emmanuel Agba, David Long, Channing Tindall. And I know maybe Channing Tindall's not the name I should throw out there, but look, he's still a young, talented player from Ohio State. I like the kid, right? He's got a chance, right? The secondary is arguably almost undebatable in my opinion, but I'll debate if you want to.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is this the same secondary that last year was a playoff team without for the majority of the year? Brandon Jones, Nick Needham, and of course played without Byron Jones, which had to have so they're going to be healthy next year. Maybe that's worth another game or two. Oh, maybe. They have Vic Fangio. Maybe that's worth the game.
Maybe.
Maybe a quarterback could play 17 games.
I'm not done yet, Jason. I'm not done yet.
I gotta stop making sense.
To bottom,
I gotta stop making sense.
On the secondary, has arguably and debatable the greatest secondary ever assembled in the NFL history, from top to bottom. Not just the top two. You want to argue with me top two? Maybe I'll hear Stephon Gilmore and Diggs over in Dallas. It's a pretty good backfield there. I'll argue that's a pretty good tandem, right? And there's a couple of other people within the NFL that all right, that's not bad. But Jalen Phillips, Xavier Howard, X-Man.
Let me tell you something about
Javon Holland.
Numerically,
come on.
Numerically, Jalen Phillips is at about 65% of his potential. I think that Jalen Phillips, I'm calling him Baby JT. That's my name for him. He is.
Oh, I don't know. People might not like that. People might not like that, Jason. That's a big moniker to put on him.
I've gotten the approval.
Oh, okay.
Right. I literally looked at the man himself and said, "I like this guy. What do you think of him?" I'm calling him Baby JT, and the man himself said, "Okay."
He didn't argue with it. He didn't argue with it. There we go.
But I did follow up.
So the man himself, JT, didn't argue with the moniker that you gave him that he is a Baby JT.
Didn't argue it.
That says something to me.
Man is at the
Kenneth saying Holland took a step back last year because the onus was on him to cover the.
You know what?
Oh,
Kenneth Rankin is a little right. He did take a step back last year. Because he had to play center field.
He had to play. That's why I said the onus, because the onus was on him to cover the entire backfield.
Yeah, he had. If you look at a PFF grade for Javon Holland, please consider that this man had to absorb 4 people: himself, Byron Jones, Nick.
Andre said, "You not cooking, Steven. Stop trying to start a fire to cook. Stop it." I love you, Andres. You are my guy, but you're wrong here, buddy.
2 players that I want you to watch for next year that are going to be like kids in candy stores with Vic Fangio's defense. Number 1 is Javon Holland. Number 2 is Andrew Van Ginkel.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot. We got the Gink back.
We did.
I'm trying to tell you. And by the way, I didn't even say names like Nick Needham, Deshaun Elliott, who's going to be, I'm trying to tell you, y'all are going to fall in love with Deshaun Elliott in this secondary.
Agreed.
I'm telling you right now, that kid is going to play amazing with all this talent in the secondary.
Agreed.
Right? And that doesn't even include Kader Kahu, an undrafted free agent who made second or third team all-team defensive player or defensive team.
I'm not positive.
Or was it all-rookie team? Might have been all-rookie team. I don't know. I think he made the all-rookie team and then was second or third in the AP defensive, just in general. Could be wrong about that if you want to go back and look that up, but I'm pretty sure it was. Okay. But nonetheless. And then we still get Trill Williams, who's healthy this year, who we all thought was going to be a boss. Let me say it again. A boss.
Trill's, I think when Trill gets on the field, that first hit, I feel bad for the first person that he hits because he wants to get on the field. You could tell this guy is ready to roll, and I'm sure he is rehabbing and getting himself to the fullest of his capabilities. So Trill as a reserve, as a depth player, I mean, the secondary.
Stephen D, answer me. Who's your favorite, me or Noob? That's the better debate than the one you're having now. LOL. It's who my favorite is whoever I'm talking to at the moment, because I love all of my listeners equally, except when I'm discussing or talking with them at the moment. Noob, Lewis. All right. I hope I just confused you guys more. That's what I was hoping. Von Joe says, okay, here we go. Now you got the hyped up fan base, Jason and Stephen D. Now y'all done with y'all's pom-poms and spirit fingers.
No.
You're not gonna stop me with my spirit fingers. Tell me why why Super Bowl or appearance or bust is not a thing. Okay,
I'll tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. This is the most complete team that I've seen since I rooted for this team since 1990. The most complete team. I've had patience for 32 years. I'm going to have a lot more patience for the next 32 months, and I'm just fine with it.
Say it one more time. That is the line of the day right there. I have
had 32 years of waiting to watch this team get to where it needs to be, and in 32 months, I'm going to be exactly where I want to be.
We should just end the show.
Twice.
I'm not going to. But we should. Oh my God. That is the line. I've been patient for 32 years. You don't think I can be patient for another 32 months?
I can do 32 months.
Know where we're about to go?
I can hold my breath for 32 months.
Von Joe, make it make sense, Von Joe.
I want Von Joe on. I want to see that pretty mug of his. For free. Let him on for free. Just care about money over here.
The chat just took a vote. You two can come back next year and root for our team, since that's when your window's open. I don't care, Von Joe. Von Joe's my man, but I don't care. Don't care. You're not hurting my feelings today. Not gonna happen. 11 a.m. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock blockers right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. We're dealing hopium this morning. We're all about the hopium. We're hopium dealers this morning. Let it be told that on Miami Sports Music, on the 24th day of March in the year 2023, that the Dolphins will win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years. Let me get an amen.
Amen.
Thank you. That's all I want to know.
There you go. Spread that.
That's how confident I am, Von Joe. Are you? If we go to a Super Bowl this year, great. But I'm telling you right now, if we lose in the AFC Championship game, I'll be sad. I'll be disappointed. It will hurt. But after I get over the loss, after I throw away the tissues from crying from the loss and all that, because I will cry if we lose in the AFC Championship game. Do not get that twisted. Okay? I'm going to be like, dang, we went to the AFC Championship game this year. What a hell of a year. What a fun year to be a fan.
I tear up when I get a Mark Duper and Mark Clayton commemorative gold coin in the mail. Imagine what I'll do when I see my team go and win a playoff game. We
haven't won a playoff game in 20 years, man.
It's expectations. You have to manage them. You have to.
And by the way, I also understand that, Stephen, with this roster, you can't say, oh, we haven't won a playoff. But I'm not just saying the goal is to win a playoff game. Nobody's saying that that's the goal. I'm saying the goal is AFC Championship game minimum. Mm-hmm. You need to win one. You need to win 2 playoff games, get you to the AFC Championship game. And I don't believe one playoff win is good enough with this roster. Is acceptable.
I'll go one better. You know what will disappoint me? I'll tell you what will disappoint me, because I do have expectations on one thing. I want to win the division. I think they can win the division, because I think that the ticket to a Super Bowl is a home field advantage playoff game.
But Kenna, did you watch the show yesterday, Kenna? So Jason, hear me out what I said yesterday, because I'm going to say it again for the people that weren't here and didn't hear me yesterday. We said in order for the Dolphins to get to be a top 10 total defense, They need to improve their defense's points per game allowed, right? By 4 points. By 4. I think we're at 24 point whatever. And 10th and 11th place were the Steelers and the Patriots for total defense last year, Jason. And I think they were at 20 point whatever. So it was 4 points from whatever place we were in last year to 10th in total defense. I believe minimum Fangio gets us to a top 10 total defense. Minimum top 10. Okay.
This defense wasn't the ball hawking defense that it was 2 years ago or up to the capabilities. They weren't creating turnovers and points off turnovers consistently.
100%. 100%. Okay. All right. So listen to me. Hear me out. So Kenna just said, or who just said? Kenna just said, I would like to be you, Steven. If I would be like you, Steven, if we had won the playoff game last year. Now, hear me out. So what did we do last year? We said, all right, let's say it improves by 4 points. Let's go to every game last year and take 4 points away from the opponent in every single game, which I think, it'd be a different defense and it's a totally different year. But I said, I think it's a fun thing to look at, right? So you take away 4 points from every game last year. We had 8 losses last year in the regular season. Take away 4 points, we go down to 6. We beat Buffalo in that close game. And I don't remember who the other team was that it was close. But nonetheless, I know we beat Buffalo. Huh?
Chargers.
Might have been the Chargers. I don't remember who it was. I don't have the scores next to me. But either way. And I said, you know what? If I take away 4 points from Buffalo in the playoff game, guess what we do? We win the playoff game, gentlemen. So think about that. If you just take away 4 points, repeat what we did last year. We go 9-8 again. God forbid. Or no, we would be 11-6. We would go 11-6. And we get to play Buffalo again in that round? Come on. Is this show just Steven and Sarney arguing with the negative crybabies? I think it is, Andrevius.
I would use the word educating the negative crybabies.
Hopium might be a trigger word for some. No bueno.
It's you know what it's about? It's not about a Super Bowl or bust mentality, because that to me sounds like you're in it for 1 year, you win your Super Bowl, and then you go your separate ways. They're in a consistent, sustainable, competitive area of their team. Meaning I want 4 years, 5 years of absolute contention, like absolute with this core, where they can win multiple Super Bowls. That's what they're setting up. I don't think people are realizing.
I don't think it's wrong for us to say, hey, look, if the Dolphins don't make the Super Bowl this year, it's not a failure of a year.
It's a freaking bummer. I'll be pissed. I'll be upset like every other year, sure. But one team out of 31 wins a Super Bowl, and one team out of 32 wins a Super Bowl, and you can't tell me that every other 31 of those teams who don't win give it a 100% failure of a season. I get it. Every team, when they're 0-0, want to win a Super Bowl and think that they can.
For like propaganda or positivity, you decide. That's a good one, Cap. I like it. I don't think it's propaganda.
I'm in a good mood this week, Cap.
Look, I'm going to open up the link and I'm going to have you guys come on and you guys can talk to us. And if you feel differently, we want to hear from you.
Some.
But I don't think in any way, shape, or form that we're being unrealistic, that we're, singing the praises of hope. I laugh with that moniker. I think it's funny. I'll keep using it, whatever. But I think I'm being very realistic of the opportunities for what can happen with this Dolphins team this year. I don't care that they have the second hardest schedule. That does not matter to me. The Dolphins, at the end of the day, will be a team to compete with. And I agree, the offensive line needs to be addressed. I agree. I want to see Tua more healthy. And Tua is the person that's probably going to take us to the promised land if we have an opportunity to get there. It probably won't be Mike White. It could be. I highly doubt it. It probably could be. It might be Skylar. Highly doubt it. But I think we will go as far as Tua allows us to go far. Can we make the playoffs with Skylar Thompson or Mike White? Maybe. But can we get to the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl without him? Probably unlikely. But at that point, if Tua's hurt and we go into the playoffs and we win a playoff game or two with Mike White or Skylar, we're just going to be like, all we do is need to go out and get a quarterback next year and we're good to go because this team is ready to win now.
That is what they are setting up for.
And the Dolphins are setting themselves up for this year. They have a legit opportunity to make a Super Bowl this year. I admit that. But I'm not going to be mad if they don't. And it is not a failure if they don't.
Let me translate and add something for you. If the Dolphins are about to win an AFC Championship game and Tua throws an interception and a pick six to lose the game, I'm going to be fucking pissed. All right, I get it.
Swear jar. Swear jar, Jason.
Those scenarios could happen. I get it. If it's an absolute ridiculous scenario that they were this close and someone screwed up, yeah, I'm not going to say, it was a good year. Whatever. I think that people do understand what we're trying to say, Steven, is that it's not a win or bust, one and done, this year or never mentality. It could happen this year, it may not, but I'll be damned if it isn't a top 3 or 4 team that could do it next year and the year after that and the year after that, because that's what they are building, a core of 15 to 25.
And by the way, I want to play whatever. Well, the Dolphins will be in salary cap hell next year or the year after that. I agree.
No, they will not. No, they will not. I've done that. What they will be in a difficult position in 2 years is signing a lot of players. But the core players at the highest salaries currently are signed through 2027. So they're going to have a lot of fun doing their restructure game 2026, 7, 8, 9. They're going to rinse and repeat. All they have to do is cut a couple of contracts that are heavy for next year, which are at least 3 of them. I'm not even worried about their minus $5 million in cap next year. They have $125 million, $175 million in the next 2 years, 25, 26, with the salary cap increasing. Not a concern. Not a concern.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. In the chat, I have put the link to the StreamYard link to come on and hang out with us. We're not going to do a big panel, but we're going to bring you all on one at a time. We welcome the haters, the naysayers, dare I say, the people that don't believe in hope. Okay? The Hopium police, whatever you want to say. Whatever.
The easiest thing in the world is to find negatives in things. That's the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world to do.
I'm going to bring on one of the greatest guys in the world, and hopefully he has a better cell phone service than he usually does. He's always driving when he calls. I don't understand it. Nope, that is bad. Yeah. That's bad.
Hi and bye,
William. You got to go back and come back in. That was just bad. That was bad, William. Rashad. Hello, Rashad.
Good morning, fellas.
Are you working, Rashad?
I am working.
You out here getting that check?
Of course, always. Money don't stop.
Man. He sounded like Winnie the Pooh or what's Igor. Always. Hi guys. I'm Rashad. What's up, Rashad? You gotta stop walking around. I can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
I can, but you keep walking around. I'm feeling like I'm in the Matrix.
I'll be stiffer. But yeah, y'all arguing 2 new points with the negative Nancy's in the chat. Y'all know that, right?
Say
what
that
they're
again?
saying. So y'all are arguing 2 mute points with the negative Nancy's in the chat. They're not wrong. Okay. They're just saying what we've done in the past. They said nothing wrong about this current roster.
Let's get something straight. Where we're saying that they're wrong, or at least I am. I don't want to speak for Jason. Where I'm saying that they're wrong is they think that a lot of people think, not everybody, but a lot of people think we're saying the same. We're hoping we're hyping up the same thing that we've seen from this team for the last 20 years. Explain to me what that is wrong. We have not seen this from this team in the last 20 years. We haven't. We haven't
I've
seen a
seen
top
one
10
person say that.
Well,
And
hey,
I think
look,
that was Andreas. But everybody else saying we were 9-8. Yeah, we were.
we were 9
Like,
and 8. I get
You're
that.
talking
I
about last
understand that.
year.
But there were a lot of things that went wrong with that. And if you look at the things that look, I guess at the end of the day, they're right. The only thing that matters is the win-loss column. I get it. I understand it. But if
y'all
you're
not wrong either.
if you're
Y'all are talking
understanding,
about in the future, we should, long as we're healthy, we should. We have a Super
guys,
Bowl
even if we
caliber
have
roster. We
some
do.
injuries, the depth that we have in the secondary, the depth that we have on the defensive line, the depth that we have at I dare I say wide receiver, maybe. I mean, I know we probably need to bring in one or two more, but I mean, look, God forbid, knock on wood, there's no major injuries. I would love to have a healthy year. I'd love to see a healthy year. We have not had that in the last 2 years. Okay.
True.
But I think that we're building this team to be successful, and that we're making this an we're making this team to be not only competitive in the AFC East, but competitive in the entire NFL. And here's the best part. We're gonna know there's no opportunities to be fake. Everybody said, the Dolphins had that 5-game win streak last year against teams that were under 500 or non-playoff teams, right? Or X, Y, and Z. We have the second hardest schedule this year. If the Dolphins win football games this year, where the naysayers, what are they going to say then about, who did we beat? Or there's nothing that they're going to be able to say. Not a thing. And I'm sure that they'll find something to say. I don't know what it'll be. I can't even remotely think of what they would say, but I'm sure they will.
Yeah, they got a talent for that. We specialize in that, sadly. That's our go-to. We can always find the negative through all the positive. I mean, granted, it's been negative for 20, 30 years, so it shouldn't be that hard.
But people want to bring up the last 20 or 30 years because it's been mediocrity. What they fail to realize, Rashad, is that the last, let's say, 18 months, Jason, that's probably fair. 18 months of this franchise has not been like the last 18 years of this franchise.
It's completely accurate to say
That's
that.
true.
I mean,
That's
it's
true.
completely accurate. And again, it goes back to yes, I get it that Chris Greer was in the car, but he wasn't driving. You ever been a passenger in your parents' car? Did you do anything to control the vehicle? No. You were just there. He did his job. He reported up to the people. They made the decisions. Even when he was general manager in 2016, 2017, 2018, he reported to Mike Tannenbaum. 2019 was basically when he was like, my show. So that's when it really comes to starting the clock. And I put that 2019, 2020, 2021 build. Last year was the ribbon cutting of the team that was constructed. And now they're adding the pool, they're adding the satellite TV, they're adding all the fun stuff because now it's time to go all in.
The question you should have asked the negative people. Ask the negative people what they want you to do.
And fentanyl. Life, I like what you did there. Hopium and fentanyl. That's pretty good, Life.
When I say all in, it's not an all in and then forget what happens after this year. It's not like for the next 10, 12 months. This is in for a sustainable look. We're in 2023. I want to get out of this decade thrilled.
The narrative they're putting out right now is if we don't win the Super Bowl this year, we're back in rebuild mode. Blow up the team.
That is the most asinine and ridiculous and brain dead approach I think I've ever heard.
Blow up the team and do what? That's my question. We can't just switch a quarterback. We just can't add a right tackle.
Rashad, you know what's funny about people that have that scenario that we should just blow this up? I don't think there's a loud contingent, or even a small contingent or a boisterous contingent. But I have heard that scenario from some fans. I think what's funny about that scenario is the Dolphins and what they've done, like the teardown, like let's be honest with ourselves. We can thank Brian Flores for a lot of the defense that we have here, right? Flores has a lot to do with that. I can admit that. The tank for 2 a year, that rebuild year, whatever, that gutting of a team, all of that helped us to get to where we are today. It laid the foundation through draft picks, through salary caps, through pushing off things. It all helped us to get to where we're at today. And at the end of the day, if, like Jason says, if 32 months from now, the Dolphins get to put on a Super Bowl ring, the tank for 2 a year and everything that transpired after that was perfect. Everything had to happen in order for it to get to where it was at.
And it could still happen after that.
Exactly.
And that's what they're doing.
So I'm okay with everything that has transpired post the tank for 2 a year. I really am.
With certain asterisks around things that we would have liked to happen better.
Look, I think all of it matters. My personal opinion, I think it all matters. I think it all plays an effect on it.
I got a better question. Or no. I mean, everything y'all said was right. This is kind of off subject. You said something that reminded me of Flores when you brought up the 9 and 8. Flores regressed in his, what was that, third year? Because that's what everybody goes to. 9 and 8. We got rid of Flores, and he was a game away. Well, we actually made the playoffs this year. He actually went backwards his last year. And he went about the whole quarterback situation completely wrong. He benched Tua. Like, let's be clear. Tua wasn't hurt. Tua wanted to go back in after he got his ribs messed up. He benched Tua and refused to put him in until Jacoby got knocked out for a couple plays. He didn't want to put Tua in. Tua came back. We went on that winning streak. And as soon as Tua messed up, Flores lashed out. And the Flores fans are upset.
I'll be honest with you, I don't want to get into the Flores debate. The point I was, and I'm just going to ignore everything you just said, and I'm sorry, Rashad. I don't want to get into the Flores debate.
You hit a nerve. My bad.
I know, but here's the thing. I said that because I think everything, like, for example, right? Let's be honest. Everybody knows I'm a LeBron fan, but I'll go to the Jordan years. Jordan couldn't get over the Detroit Pistons in the beginning, right? He couldn't pass them. And if you're honest with yourself, it wasn't until Scottie came around that they were able to get over that hump, right? It wasn't until they had to get rid of certain players that were big name players on that Bulls team to bring in younger guys or different guys or even guys that team, competitors from that team, that Jordan was finally able to make that finals run that first time round, right? So but they all led to that. And I feel like the Flores situation will lead us directly to a Super Bowl win because Flores laid the foundation for the defense. He did. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some of the credit for some. He does. The man deserves some of the credit for where this defense is at. 100%.
Wasn't we ranked 22nd in defense his last year?
But that wasn't Flores. That was Boyer.
No, it was both of them. And I blame Flores for letting that happen.
To finish the Flores, because I hate talking about it, but to finish the Flores conversation, the reason he's not here, in my opinion, is because he couldn't work well with others. He couldn't get on the same page with people. He was not willing to have somebody smarter than him step into the room and allow him to, hey, I can help on the offensive side, or if he had to be the smartest person in the room. And I said this as much earlier this week. There was no other reason to bring in what's his face, the offensive coordinator, out of retirement, because nobody else wanted to come here, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
I think the difference between like a guy like and a guy like a Brian Flores would never have brought in a Vic Fangio, because that would have said that Vic Fangio is the king of the defense and he's just a coach. I think he wanted to be the smartest guy in the room, and he wanted to create the tree of his, not bring in that veteran to help, and that's the difference. I think. And
Rashad, by the way, Fangio's going to re-wipe and clean the slate clean.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The players, the core of the players, that are here were Flores guys. Christian Wilkins,
I
Flores
agree.
guy.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Jalen Jalen is a Flores guy, right? This is his third year. Jalen was a Flores.
Yeah.
Am I correct
But
about that? Jalen was
I
Flores.
wouldn't call this the
Javon Holland was Flores.
foundation, though. I wouldn't call it a foundation. I would call these
Well, you can say what you want.
the
Zach Seiler was
tools.
a Flores guy.
Yeah, I mean, all these people are
Emmanuel
Flores guys.
Agba came in from Flores. Hey, nobody on this channel, in my opinion, understood what Flores couldn't do more than me, in my opinion. Maybe you might feel differently, okay? But I will also give him credit where credit is due. And I think there's a good portion of the players that are on this defense directly here as the foundation for Fangio and what he's able to mold with his clay hands because of him.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. I just want to say foundation. I do give Flores credit for finding some of these gems that we do have, but I'm not going to go with foundation.
And by the way, it's part of the reason why Fangio wanted to come here. Fangio wanted to come here because of Christian Wilkins. Fangio wanted to come here because of Zach Seiler. Fangio wanted to come here because of Javon Holland. Fangio wanted to come here because of Jalen Phillips. Fangio wanted to come here because there were certain players on this defense that were straight up, man, this is a raw talent.
Let me also jump one more time in here with a guy like Van Ginkel. How many times can you tell me, or how many times have we heard that a new
Nick Needham
coordinator is coming into a new team, and there's a free agent who potentially is on the way out? Fangio, as Barry Jackson reported, I heard throughout this whole process, called Van Ginkel. We want you. I want you. You got to stay. We're working on it.
Remember who broke the news about Van Ginkel, ladies and gentlemen? This guy.
But we have
a
guy in a Vic Fangio who came here to work his magic with an already established set. I don't think we really could fully understand what he's going to do for Brandon Jones, for Javon Holland, for Van Ginkel, for Phillips. What's going to be creating the ability not just to create quarterback pressures, which Phillips was doing well. He's going to eat. He's going to get those sacks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's Vic Fangio's stamp.
14 plus.
On what was a helpful.
I know, Jose. I'm done talking about Flores. Rashad, is there anything else you want to talk about? I got other people in the back room, and I'm done talking about Flores with you.
You good? Do your thing. I'm waiting for the haters to come up and see how they flip the conversation.
Well done, Rashad. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Bash 305 is in the building. What's up, Bash?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Bash. How you doing, brother?
How are you?
Good. Doing good, man. Doing good.
Hey, man, floor is yours. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, man, I want to talk about these free agents. I know you guys have been mentioning Flores. You're done. We're done with that.
I'm not talking Flores no more. Refuse.
O-line.
Refuse.
O-line. I don't know if you guys been talking about the O-line. I know I read somewhere in between the lines about Fluker. And,
Fluker. Yep, DJ Fluker. We talked about him earlier this morning. Look, he falls into the typical Chris Greer category, a great talent, but injured talent, right? Low risk, high reward. There's a lot of hype from this guy's pro day yesterday. Second pro day. It's so weird to say that a veteran had a pro day, but yes, essentially he had a pro day yesterday, right? So there's a lot of hype for him, and I don't think we're going to be the only team vetting for his services. But yesterday, allegedly, and I can't confirm this, but allegedly, Greer and McDaniel were at Alabama's pro day yesterday, and I know that there was 2 or 3 Dolphins scouts there because there are pictures clearly with Dolphins logos. You can see with people wearing Dolphins logos in the background. So, So look, I think that competition breeds competition. If you can find a way to get him in, great. Do I think he's the solution? That's yet to be determined. And it goes back to the conversation that we had earlier this morning about underwear Olympics. Look, there's only so much you can really gauge. This guy has had some major injuries in his career, and he's trying to make a resurgence. But when he was healthy, he was one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Yeah,
he was pretty beastie. I think he's got something to prove. That's what I think if we gave him a second chance with us,
I'm okay with giving him a chance. I just don't want that to be, hey, we got Dan Feeney and DJ Fluker, and that's who the God forbid that's what we go in. I will lose because I would have no argument to the people that want to hate on Greer. Like I'd be like, I'd have to eat it. I would have to eat the Greer hate on this channel then, because it would be can't defend it. But I don't think it will be, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people, we're eager as hell to get a good, solid guy there. Would it be a young guy?
I just want to throw something out real quick.
Yep.
And I know that this isn't a very, very quality offensive line. But when I try to find positives, I'm going to try to go around the negatives. And let's talk about this horrible offensive line for a second. How many sacks did they give up last year? Bottom third in the league, ranked. They gave up 35 sacks, which is falling in the bottom third in the league.
Which is good.
Which is fine.
Yep.
Which is fine. How many yards per carry after Chase Edmonds? Let's get Chase Edmonds out of the equation. Just throw his statistics out. And let's talk about from like week 4, 5, 6 on, what were the running backs averaging per carry?
It was over 4.8. I was about to say it was over 4.5. And I've told people for the last 2.5 years on the show, if your running back averages more than 4.5 yards per carry, you're in the money.
4.8 when you account for the per carry averages of Wilson, Mostert, and Savon Ahmed. If you look at the entire league, 4.7 was top 5. Mm-hmm. So those runners, despite a very bad offensive line, top 10 yards per carry. This offensive line, despite how awful they are, bottom third in the league of the amount of sacks given up last year, which puts them in the top tier of the league in terms of the top third of least amount of sacks given up. So we're looking at a below mediocre, awful offensive line, statistically not looking that horrible. I've seen the tape. I know it could be better. But when we're looking at where to spend the money to massively improve, this might be why they're not signing a $30 million offensive lineman. There could be some stubbornness there, but when you really dissect the numbers, 2 years ago, they were the 32nd ranked offensive line in the league by a mile. Like there was 30, they were number 32. There was about 14 levels of crap, and then there was 31, 30, 29, you know? Now they've moved up 15, 16 slots 2 years later. It's a work in progress, but it is not that horrifically a disaster. Did we hear what I just said there? Not that horrifically a disaster. It's average, which means 15, 16, 17 in the league right now. It could be better, but it could be worse.
I'm about to throw up a photo up here because I want to get into it. I'm just trying to load it up onto the screen here. Just give me 1 second. There we go. All right. So it's loading up. All right. This is the 2023 pass protection expectations. Okay. Pass protection expectations. All right. So this is the grade position by position of each team in the NFL last year. If you see dark blue and you know, obviously 70s or above, you're decent in that position. All right. Miami was 22nd in overall offensive line. Okay. Left tackle, which was Teron Armstead. And by the way, this didn't include Teron Armstead. This did include everybody. Okay. This is based on current 5 projected starters via our lads. The position columns represent average percentile ranking based on pass play or draft position. And then the PEPA represents predicted EPA based on pass protection grades at each position from our lads. Okay. So looking at it, the Dolphins, if we have Teron Armstead, it'd be 95. Our left guard was 9. That's horrible. It's one of the worst grades on the board. Our center was 73. Our right guard was 84. And our right tackle's 26. So left guard and right tackle obviously need to be addressed. Okay. If you go look at the 2 Super Bowl teams right now, okay, you go look at the Philadelphia Eagles. The lowest grade they have is at right guard, and that's at 71. All their other grades are in the 90s. And then if you go look at the Kansas City Chiefs, which I believe are
25.
25. The Chiefs, who are 25. That is their projected for this year. Current based on what's on the roster and projected starters. Okay? This is before the trade that they did or losing Orlando Brown, by the way. This is before Orlando Brown losing. So they still made a projected him. So that's crazy. The Super Bowl winners. There we go. We just need to improve the offensive line a little bit more. It doesn't need to be a significant improvement. I think I would like to see at least one more good starter on the offensive line. But in general, if you're being honest with yourself, you don't need to improve it, but a little bit more, because Kansas City, who's the defending Super Bowl champions, who everybody thinks will still obviously vie for a Super Bowl this year, are 25. We're higher than they are. And we have more weapons than they do, in my opinion, minus Patrick Mahomes. I get it. Patrick Mahomes is the man. I understand that. But I believe that the Dolphins don't need to improve. They need to go. They need a left guard, and they need to definitely have some competition for that right tackle.
That what is going to happen is exactly that. We might not see splashes, but from this moment until training camp in the summer, there will be at least 2 or 3 offensive linemen brought on that could potentially start on this team if they win the job. That's my number. 3, maybe an interior and 2 tackles that are going to compete. And that's including the draft too.
I agree.
So where we sit in March 24th is not where we're going to be sitting August 1st. It's just not.
I agree. And by the way, I understand the inefficiencies or the deficiencies of the offensive line. I know what happens when, and I won't say if, I'll say when, because track record shows he will. Teron Armstead goes down. Who's going to play left tackle, right? What happens with the left guard, and what happens at right tackle? And we all know how I feel about the center to begin with. My personal opinion is you get a center in the later rounds that can start, right? Because he knows how to play. You move Connor over to left guard. You've filled up the left guard position. Connor at left guard's a minimum 77, 80 plus. And the only reason he's probably that low is because allegedly his and I can't say allegedly, but he did when he last time he played left guard, he was the highest penalized offensive lineman in the league. I get that. I understand that. But I'd like to think that that's going to go away, or I'd like to think that that would come down, or that's an anomaly. So if you could move him to left guard, bring in a true center, now you have 2 options there at left guard. You can go out and get a left guard, which is tough to find. It's easier to find a center than it would be a left guard, in my opinion, at least in the draft standpoint. And then you can move Connor over. And then all you got to do is worry about right tackle, which, I mean, maybe Fluker. I don't know. Maybe. What do you think, Bash?
I think is a great option just to try him out. Will he be our starter? Can he stay healthy like you mentioned? I don't trust.
I'm not talking about Fluker in general. It could be anybody. Like when we did the mock drafts last week, Jason and I with Nando, how many times did we go after Jake Scruggs, the center from Penn State, in our mock drafts? A buttload of times. And we were like, he could probably start day one. And he's a mid-round draft pick, I
think that makes sense. I mean, bring in a rook at center and move over Connor. I think that's an improvement from Liam automatically right there.
Yep. And then Liam then becomes depth, right? He becomes depth then, because he's still a project, right? In my opinion, you don't get rid of him yet. He's still a project. Let's see what Butch Berry can do with them. Can he improve him anymore, right? I still think he's got another year to prove himself. I don't want to rely on him as a starter, but I wouldn't mind him being the backup or the depth piece and him learning under the tutelage, and seeing what Butch Berry can do.
I felt like Robert Jones did a better job than he did when he was in there temporarily when he was hurt. But,
the one guy I do want back that I do not think is coming back is Brandon Shell. I desperately would love him to come back, but the the fact that it hasn't happened yet scares me, and I think there's a lot of people vying for his services. And I really don't understand why the Dolphins didn't clean that up before. That is one thing where I scratch my head a little bit because he was good last year.
Yeah, he did solid. We brought in Kendall Lamb. We brought him back instead of him, but maybe it could have been a cap issue or who knows what.
I don't know. Anything else you got, man?
No, just wanted to talk about that.
Look, man, I love having you on, man. What are you doing, man? You're just hanging. I see the University of Miami thing in the back there. You ready for tonight's game?
I am. I'm definitely ready.
It's gonna be awesome.
In my
2:30 this afternoon, the women play. I'd love to see the women and the men just crush it. It'd be great.
That'd be awesome. No, it's been a while. I know we're all anxious, man. We got a couple of months left.
I know everybody's. That's the thing. Everybody's like they're antsy. They're like
antsy,
yeah. So, it's like getting that sugar. I get it. I understand it.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Be good, bro.
You too, brothers. We'll be on.
Going, Bash. Good weekend.
All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. In the link, there's a link pinned to the top of the chat. Click it. Get up here. Let's talk. I want to hear from you. As a matter of fact, I'll drop it one more time in the chat for the people. If you're on Facebook, you can also watch up. The link will take you directly to this as well. Or if you're on Twitch and watch it on Twitch, you can do it up there as well. By the way, we are on Twitch at Stephen D SKPL for those of you who watch Twitch. So we're up there as well. Okay. All right. Let me bring on the ice tray. Are you ready for the ice tray? You know why we call him the ice tray, Jason?
I don't.
All right. So William Perry.
Oh,
what is the refrigerator? Right. Well, he's not a refrigerator. He's an ice tray.
What's up, guys?
William?
What up, bro?
Is the signal better today?
It is, man. It looks like you moved to the. You just parked somewhere where you had good cell phone service.
No, I just made it to this house that I'm trying to finish up today. So it's just for some reason this part of North Florida has like the worst signal ever. It's where cell phone signals go to die. So that's what it's been.
That's where most people go to die. Never mind. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about your Roll Tide people down there or anything.
Wait a minute, Stephen. Hey, you ain't be saying much after we win the NCAA championship.
From your mouth to God's ears. That would be very good for my bracket.
Yeah, y'all are in bad shape. We got the #1 player in the country, Stephen.
Who cares?
Dead.
Alabama sucks.
Everybody needs to go home. Just go home. Call it in like whenever Bear Bryant called in that national championship that year.
Hey, I know we're not doing bans or timeouts right now, but I will make an exception for you. If anybody wants to get this Bama fan on out of here, feel free.
Now the DJ Fluker thing, right?
Yeah.
I told everybody about this. Either it was like Thanksgiving, okay? I saw DJ because he's from my town, right? I saw him at Walmart one night. And he actually saw me down the aisle and started screaming at me. I thought I was in trouble.
Do you know him?
Yeah. I know this is a kid. Yeah, I know this is a kid.
Dude, do you have his number?
I think I'd have to look.
William?
I know I got his cousin's number.
You gotta help me get him on the channel, William, before he signs with someone else.
Julio Jones is from here too. I held in as a baby.
Who cares about Julio? We're talking about DJ Fluker. I wouldn't mind getting him on the channel.
Anyways, I saw him over the Thanksgiving break and or either Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I went on the Batman's channel and told him exactly the conversation that we had after I left was because he looked incredible. He looked better than he did whenever he was in the NFL. It was unreal.
That's what people were saying yesterday that he looks in the best shape even when he was in his prime of his career in the NFL.
Dude, it didn't look like he ate anything for Thanksgiving. He was, and I asked him, I said, "What are you thinking about? What's going on? Are you thinking about coming back?" And he was like, I'm keeping my body healthy because I'm waiting for a call now." And he said he had been talking to the Dolphins just in case at that point. You know what I mean?
And
other teams.
And this
was
at
last
the end
year.
this is at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Good talk, bro.
But he looks incredible. Incredible.
All right. Well, look, I would love for him to come back if he's healthy enough. You know, and that pro day I think was big.
Yeah.
Yesterday. I think he will sign somewhere. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him.
I saw some clips from it. I saw some clips from it, and he's got the experience already for it. And dude, he looks in better shape than I've ever seen him. I mean, even whenever he was in high school.
Well,
so,
you heard it here first. William Perry, who lives in the same town as DJ Fluker, said he saw DJ Fluker and he looks the best he's ever looked. And he said he was talking with the Dolphins. Now, this was at the end of the last year, but still, you know, I think it's relevant.
But
does he look good yet?
I think the better topic is like everybody's like worried about the Super Bowl. You know how lucky you have to be to win a Super Bowl? It's any given Sunday.
I said that this week that you have to be you have to have some luck in order.
You have to have the roles. This is coming from a world-class pool player, right? I got to the finals of the U.S. amateurs twice, right? And crapped the bed twice or three times. Crapped the bed all three times in the finals, right? I mean, and those are not world-class players, but they're just almost there. You know what I mean? And I was just right there at the time. So I know I know how close you can get and just
tell
lose.
that bird to shut up, William. Tell that bird to be quiet.
My bad. Somebody started calling me.
Oh.
You there?
Tell them. Yeah, I was saying. Tell that
Sorry.
bird to shut up in the background.
Yes, it's beautiful out here, Steven, but for some reason this microphone picks up everything but my voice well.
What do you have? An app, a Crapple, or a Android?
Brother, you know I got the Samsung Galaxy S22. Come on, man. You know, man.
Crapple sucks. Yeah,
Tim Cook's
what?
Tim Cook's from here.
Hey, let's go.
Or go from Robertsdale, anyway.
You people with your Apple phones, forget y'all.
Tim Cook is from my town. You think I support Apple? No, I do not.
But I will never say roll tide with anybody else, but I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you.
You're awesome. You're awesome. But what was I saying?
You were saying
about winning.
You were telling me how awesome you think this show is and how much you love me and that this is absolutely amazing and there's nowhere else you'd rather be on the earth than the Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan.
You're right, because I wanted to get this in yesterday, but my signal is down in Florida so bad. But we're AFC contenders right now. We're going to contend. We're going to contend for the AFC championship this year. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But there's other teams that are good. Remember, there's still other teams that are good in this division, and it's any given Sunday. We got to have a lot of rolls go our way, is like we call it in the pool world. The rolls got to go your way. But as of right now, there should be nothing but like positivity. Yes, we do need to address the O-line, and we've all been saying it since the beginning of the off season. But like, man, all the defensive moves, Jalen Ramsey, everybody. You know what I mean? How could you not be happy about what you're seeing? We got Vic Fangio. There's 2 wins right there.
Hey, Canes 1989 asked William Perry, who wins another championship first, Alabama or the Dolphins?
Definitely Alabama.
No, you can't. I can't allow it. I can't allow it.
I think we both win the same time.
Give me your final thoughts. Give me your final thoughts, William.
The other thing you
got about 30 seconds, and I'm kicking you out because that was the worst take you've ever had in your life.
It's Alabama, bro.
No, it's the Dolphins, bro.
We're gonna win a championship in the next couple of weeks.
All right,
in basketball.
Okay, we're talking football.
Okay, but you didn't say that.
All right, so in football, I will give you a chance to redeem yourself. Who wins a championship first? The Alabama
AFC or just the national championship? AFC championship versus the national championship.
I'm talking about national championship or Super Bowl. Who wins first? William, there's one correct answer here, and if you do not say it, I might have to ban you for a week.
Brother, we talk about the men's league, and I just went over this whole spiel about how the roles have to go your way,
William,
and you're gonna hold me to.
William,
What?
I'm disappointed in you that you're having to think this hard about this question.
I'm sorry, man, it's tough. I want the Dolphins to win this year. I think they can, but again, I'm just realistic. I know how being world class has to be.
Dolphins or Alabama?
Is that who has the better chance?
Yes. No. Who wins first? He straight up asked you who wins one first. You're running from it. Don't run from it. Let the hopium consume your body. Okay.
In my heart of hearts, I want the Dolphins to win.
Okay.
First. You know what I'm saying? But I also want Alabama to win. I want them to win together. In fact, celebrate together. I want to go to 2 parades this year.
Brother, Jason and I have talked about the parade in Miami, by the way. We've legit had conversations about the boat parade and stuff.
It will be a boat parade.
I will bring my own boat.
You might have a wait for it.
Listen, I will borrow my cousin's yacht just to get down there for this.
You might have to do that. I'm going to take you up on that offer, William. We're going to virtual shake on it right now. Dolphins win a Super Bowl. You're bringing the yacht.
I'm calling my cousin Rico, and I'm going to see if I can borrow his yacht.
Hey, Rico, I need your yacht, bud. Let's go.
The last thing that I wanted to touch on was yesterday you read a comment from me, and I was talking about Tua being in gymnastics.
Yes.
Right. And I want to tell you why. So George St. Pierre.
By the way, I had also said that Dan Marino did that stuff too. So let's not just dog on Tua for that.
So George St. Pierre, who was the greatest welterweight of all time in the UFC. Yes, he went in the middle almost to the tail end of his career as a fighter. The last 5 years went to gymnastics, right? Well, unfortunately, that's where he tore his ACL. But accidents happen. But he went there because gymnasts are the most athletic people in the world, and gymnastics translates into every sport. I did gymnastics from 5 to 12. You know what I mean? And I'm in still incredible shape.
I was about to say, are you still pretty limber? Huh?
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is going to help him and everything like that.
I just want to say, it's too funny that you're saying that because I'm coaching my daughter's baseball league. All right.
That's awesome. I saw the pictures.
And we had so yesterday was our second practice and Tuesday was our first. And I was in so much pain after Tuesday's practice because I was like using muscles and throwing and like getting on the ground with these guys. I have not done that in years, right? Look, I'm a big guy. I know I'm a big guy. I get it. All right. But yesterday I was hurting, but I wasn't as hurting as bad as I was at the end of Tuesday. And I had just finished coming off coaching my son in basketball for the last 2.5 months. And I'm doing drills with them and stuff like that. But what's funny about all this is my daughter was like, Dad, you should do yoga with me. We should do yoga together so that you don't hurt as much, so you're not as sore at the end of the day. My 7-year-old daughter talking about I should do yoga with her.
You're right. She's right. Plus, Stephen, to be honest with you, it's probably good for his health wise.
I don't know if I can do the tree pose, or I don't know if I can do it, man. I don't know.
Well, everybody's got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And really,
it's not softball. So real quick, G, my daughter said, I gave her the choice. I said, do you want to play baseball this year? Or do you want to play softball this year? She's like, what's softball? And I was like, oh, it's what the girls play. She's like, I want to play what the Orioles play because we live up here in Baltimore. And I was like, so you want to play baseball? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, you might be the only girl. She's like, I don't care. So I called up the league and they had to give me like 2 weeks to get back to me. I was a little pissed off about it, but nonetheless, they called me back. They approved it. I don't see why they wouldn't, but they did. And
we had a girl named Rebecca Baker that
with all the
played with
boys
us
in baseball, and we're doing drills yesterday. She was like the first one. She's running faster than them. She's like out. She's like, I'm not going to be beat by these boys. I love it.
I like that mindset.
I like it too. Sorry.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you're out there doing it with them because you need to start. That's something that you need to do for health reasons. Either you know what I'm saying.
I'm a lot more limber than I was 72 hours ago. That's for sure.
I'll tell you.
All right,
sure.
I gotta let you.
All right, let me finish this. Let me finish this last point though. After George St. Pierre came back from his ACL surgery, there was a place up in Canada that they went to that worked basically on. They had advanced technology used to establish balance, reflexes, and things like that. I cannot remember the name of that facility, but that's all it worked on was lower body and balance. And that's what I would like to see Tua go work on in an off season for 3 or 4. I guess George did it for 8 weeks. And whenever he says fight back, I mean, absolutely dominated. You could just tell the difference in his footwork and the way he could move. It just seemed like he could move so much freer. And that would be great for Tua, too. You know what I'm saying? Agreed. It's important. The balance part is important, and the reflex part is important. So if you can, and that's all trainable. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think, and he hasn't had that kind of training since his injury. You know what I'm saying? So it would make all the more sense if he wanted to be even more elite, he would go to this level. You know what I mean?
I agree. William, I love you, buddy. You're the man.
I love you too. Sarney's very good seeing you again too, buddy.
Be well, William. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right, I got one more person in the back that I'm going to bring on here in 1 second because we got to wrap up here in a little bit, right, Jason? Noob says, why did you leave out the part where you purposely were beaming small children in the dome? Look, what had happened was on Tuesday is I have not thrown in years, and yes, I beamed a couple of kids. It was not, I mean, it wasn't bad, but the parents laughed. They thought it was funny. But yeah, I did hit a couple kids. But yesterday I was tossing them. I was like underhand tossing them batting practice. I was like, I don't want to hit no kids again today. But I'll get back there. Give me another couple weeks to get this arm into shape. I pitched in high school. I was a decent pitcher. I couldn't throw a fastball. Like I didn't have a lot of heat, but I was a good pitcher. I had good breaking balls. I had a good slider, good curveball. I was pretty decent. I struck out some people in high school. I was decent. All right. Last person of the day. This guy I love. He's a hater, but I love him. Ladies and gentlemen, Lewis. What's up, man?
I cannot believe what I heard earlier.
What did you hear?
I can't believe you're going to Subway.
Are you at Subway?
No,
are you eating fresh? Are you with Tua at Subway?
Hey, I can't let out all the secrets. No, the true leaf I'm at is right next to a Subway.
Jersey Mike's, Lewis. Jersey Mike's.
I hear you, Sarney. I hear you.
No, Hangry Owls. Come to Pembroke Pines and go to Hangry Owls.
Hangry. Even better.
Well, I agree. I'm out here in the Lehigh, Bonita Springs area.
Okay.
This way.
I'll forgive you this time. Hey, real quick, just a side note. Hey, Sighting in Penn State. McDaniel and Chris Greer are at Penn State's pro day today. Sighting.
Scruggs.
Sweet. Well,
I'm all about you. I said Jake Scruggs. It was Juice Scruggs. My bad. Go ahead, Lewis. I apologize. Floor is yours.
I cannot believe. I try to be so positive, and then you guys come out here with all this negative hate about Brian Flores. And I know you said you weren't going to.
Nobody has negative hate for that man. What are you talking about?
First of all, you let the biggest hater in this community come up, biggest hater and capper Rashad, and he was lying to the people. And then Jason Sarney. I cannot believe what I heard from Sarney.
What I did
let me address Rashad's comment first. Oh, how we're so much better now under McDaniel. Bro, we were 9-8. I don't care how you slice it. We squeezed into the playoffs this year. It was the same scenario last year. You know why we didn't make it last year or 2 years ago under Flo? Because Baltimore ended up winning that last game of the season. Because all I know, we beat the Jets this season. Correct. Fine. Great game. If New England beats Buffalo, do we make the playoffs?
Sorry. You're making me sleepy.
No, we do not.
I know that they backed into the playoffs this year.
Okay.
I was at the peak of my displeasure when they lost that Buffalo game. I was tweeting some rather venomous stuff.
I agree, but this is what I'm saying. How can you say we're that much, or not you, Sarney? I'm just saying in general. When we look at it, bro, I don't care how you slice it. At the end of the day, we were 9-8, and when I look at Brian Flores' regime and Mike McDaniel's first year, there's not even comparison. It's not even close to the job.
There's a big time comparison
of the amount of talent on the team.
Well, number one, Flores' style of coaching and McDaniel's style of coaching is apples and oranges. It's apples and marshmallows. It's completely different. Regardless of how much certain defensive players, maybe the majority, loved Flores's coaching on the defense from an organizational standpoint, from a whole team, he didn't communicate properly, and he created a very, very uncomfortable air. And at that Tennessee game 2 years ago, that's when it all came to fruition, to the point where players were literally saying, F this. It was a horrible environment. And lo and behold, they didn't make the playoffs for a couple of reasons that year, despite having, well, I'll tell you what, you start 1-7. That's another reason why you didn't make the playoffs. That's number one. And a couple of scenarios happened why that defense all of a sudden woke up. Flores had a lot to do with it. So did others. Let's just put it that way. Now when you look at what's going on this year versus what happened last year in McDaniel's first year, that's number one. Rookie head coach taking over a situation that was really, really
a situation that started on third.
Let me finish it. You have a rookie coach come on in, then you have the boat incident, you have picks getting taken away, and despite that, despite the Tua mess, despite the injuries, despite all the negatives, they backed their ways into the playoffs. And they had a heck of a game with Skylar Thompson, a 7th-round rookie drafted quarterback playing on the road in his rookie year in the playoffs. So I'm looking at everything, and I'm looking at building the team from a talent standpoint, which they've done in the last 3 weeks very well. And I'm also looking at hopefully if they could stay healthy. So I'm not really looking at last year in a horrible negative way. I'm saying they backed into the playoffs despite the negatives. And if they were a bit more healthy, perhaps we would have gotten another game or two in there. Now, this year, you add in a Vic Fangio, you add in year 2 with McDaniel, you add in all the others, and if they could stay 50% more healthy than last year, that's 11 wins in my math.
And I'm with you 1,000%, but that's not even what I was saying. I'm saying from however you slice it, they were 9-8, both scenarios. And when I look at it, Coach McDaniel walked into a team that he started basically on third base. Crypto says it best. When Flores got here, this was a total rebuild, right? And he was working with UPS drivers and Walmart workers. We can agree with that. It just is what it is, right? And they both finished 9-8. And then I thought it was funny, Jason, when you said, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the statement you said was Brian Flores was here, we wouldn't have Coach Fangio, correct?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you said his ego wouldn't have.
If Brian Flores was the head coach, he probably wouldn't hire a man like Vic Fangio to run the defense because that would be infringing on his.
He wouldn't. Now, Jason, to be fair to that statement, he wouldn't. Nor would he have to, right? Like he's the defensive guy.
I don't exactly.
But I don't think he would do the equivalent of the offensive side either. That's
wrong.
That's
not wrong. But that's wrong. That is wrong.
It's not.
And you guys are missing it. I agree. We wouldn't need Fangio if Brian Flores was here. But let's not before the Flores' last season, who were we after as the offensive coordinator?
Refresh my memory.
Right now, who's our offensive coordinator?
No. In Brian Flores' last year, before the season started, who did we approach to be the offensive coordinator for this football team?
I'm asking you to refresh.
Coach Mike McDaniel. The 49ers. The 49ers.
So
made
time
him
out.
Offense.
So hold up, Lewis. I've heard that before. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm going to agree with you that it's probably got some truth in it. All right. Now, with that being said, I believe that's why McDaniel was on their radar to begin with.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now,
1,000%.
McDaniel knew when he took over this offense, when he took over as head coach, he's like, they brought in here's what I know. They brought in the offensive mind that they wanted to bring in 100% with McDaniel. Like, it wasn't even a question. They knew they wanted him as offensive coordinator minimum. I don't think he was going to leave to become the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins. He would have stayed in San Francisco if he wasn't going to be the head coach. Part of the reasons why I think he became the head coach here. Now,
it's been reported.
Hold on. I'll let you rebuttal, sir. It has been it was reported that McDaniel was, and it's not even reported. We all know it to be true. It was told to him, you're going to keep Flores' staff here. But if they fail, you will not get the boot, and you will get to bring in who you want. And he said at that moment, I want Fangio.
Absolutely.
And what did they do this year? They got rid of him. They brought in Fangio. Here's the best part about the Fangio signing compared to the Flores situation. McDaniel knows and knew and knows. Well, he's just the other head coach. He's going to be the head coach of the defense, point blank. When defense is on the field, he's going to be the guy. And not only that, I want somebody in here of his stature, of his mindset, of his legacy, of his thought process, because it will make me a better head coach and offensive coordinator.
Right.
Flores, I don't know if he'll do it when he gets another opportunity to be a head coach, but he wasn't going to do that during his tenure in Miami. And that is part of the reason he was out.
No, that's not the case. Again, the 49ers, when we were going to offer McDaniel to be the offensive coordinator, he was going to come in and mind just the offense. He wouldn't have to been the head coach. His job would have been here. Hey, Flores, you're basically the head coach, DC of this team. I'm going to come in. I'm the offensive guy. I'm the guru, right? It's the same situation. We come out here, and again, I'm not saying Jason is the only person that did it, but that's what struck me with the reason I wanted to come up, because that's what everybody in the fan base said. Well, Brian Flores' ego wouldn't have let him. Bro, they tried to get Coach McDaniel.
I disagree with you, man.
The 49ers blocked it. But those are facts.
Even if the 49ers didn't block it, here's the thing about McDaniel too, right? Flores probably saw the genius in McDaniel. But you know what Flores could do to McDaniel? He could override him. He would have no final. McDaniel would have a majority of how the offense is instituted. But at the end of the day, who's the head honcho there? McDaniel or Flores. Flores would never allow an offensive mastermind comparative like Fangio is on defense to come in. McDaniel has no ego. He just wants to win. Correct. He understands I don't have to be the head coach. I don't have to be, in charge of the guys on defense. I don't. Point blank. And Flores, and by the way, here's another thing that supports my theory, Lewis. When Josh McDaniels took over as head coach in Vegas, he was at the press conference, and the question was asked to him. He goes, why didn't it work out in Denver? And he said, and I'm semi-quoting here, so just bear with me, but he said something to the effect of, I wasn't willing to listen to other people. I wasn't willing to bring in somebody that, had more experience than me. I had to be the number one. And what I hope to change this time in Vegas, being the head coach here, is that I'm willing to listen to other people. And you go back, Lewis, to the coaching tree that is Belichick, and look at all of his disciples that have come from him to be head coaches somewhere else. They all, in every way, shape, or form, have had issues I don't know if anybody's really had any success under his that are disciples of him as head coach anywhere else, because they are not willing to work with others. Now, I did say the moment Flores left, I said, you know what, man? If Flores can learn from this, he will be a great head coach someday. And by the way, I want it on record that I think Minnesota will have a top 10 defense this year as him as the defensive coordinator. and he will get another head coach opportunity eventually. But will he be able to change with him not being like remove ego aside? He had ego. He just did, man. And that was clear as day. And for you to deny that or think anything differently, I mean, you're, in my opinion, Lewis, I love it. You're wrong. Like, how can you deny that?
Okay, fine. Let's get off Flores. McDaniel don't have an ego in your two gentlemen's professional opinion. Does McDaniel have an ego?
I think McDaniel has a very, very calm, cool confidence that could look at maybe egotistical in a fun, quirky way. But I also think that there's a humility and a humbleness to him. I think he's self-deprecating. I think that he will point out things that are at his detriment if it could lead to the greater good of the gentleman that he is leading. I think they are different people. I think there are positives and negatives to both Flores and to McDaniel. But I do think that the teams take the personality and the mindset of the coach. And I think this is a looser, more enjoyable, fun-loving team because there's a lot less pressure and stress from the top down. It's not a knock on Flores. But when you see coaches going up the stretch line before, maybe hitting the pads, giving a little pound, McDaniel does it differently. I'm not saying it's better or for worse, but it's a different situation. They are different people. And I can't weigh one better than the other, but we have to stop. We've been doing a lot today. This Flores stuff, to me, irrelevant.
I mean, it is. And I'll say one last thing. So there are some people in the chat that are saying he's a rat. I just want to put it on record. I don't believe that for a second. I think he went about and I know this is totally off topic and it's not necessarily we're regurgitating and all, whatever. But I'll just want to state for the record, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a good guy. I do think that he was told to quote unquote tank. And he said, if you give me a roster, I'm going to do everything I can to win football games. And he did do that. And it did not work out well for the Dolphins' favor from that standpoint. And I think that when he got fired, he saw it. You don't have to agree that you see it like that. And I'm not saying I do or I don't, but I'm not going to question the guy if he felt that it was a racial, thing or anything like that. In my opinion, Flores is a good guy. He just was not the right person for this team. And I don't think that he's a rat either. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't believe he's a rat. I believe that Miami kind of did him dirty in that aspect as well. But forget about Flores then. You guys are right. Let's go back to the ego talk. If it sounds like an ego to me before you've even coached a game in the NFL and your receiver, and again, these ain't my words. This came from Tyreek Hill. He said the first time he talked to Coach McDaniel looked at him and said 2,000 yards. That sounds like ego to me.
Why can't that be confidence? Why does that have to be? And by the way, why do we have to make ego in a negative tone?
That's not ego, Lewis. That's not ego.
It is ego.
No, I'm going to tell you what ego is. Ego is this.
You got. Hold on. You guys said that McDaniel would not put ego in front of the men that he was leading, correct? That he would do for what's best for the team.
I think. Let me clarify what we were trying to say. We were saying that he wouldn't allow ego to or to what's the word I need to use, Jason, to get in the way of the success of the team.
But I can give you examples of how his ego got in the way of the success of the football team. Because we sat here and cried. Okay, here. How many times did we come up here, Stephen, and cry about 3rd and 1 situations, 3rd and 2 situations? All we had to do was run the ball.
But timeout doesn't the caveat of a first-time head coach get that?
I'm gonna tell you why it's ego. Because when we were 8-3 and Tua was balling and Tua was in MVP conversations, what's good for Coach McDaniel's resume? We all thought that this was Tua's last year to prove it, right? If you can, your first year as a head coach can come in and turn a guy that was getting labeled as a bust, right? And you can turn him into an MVP, that's your motive. Mm-hmm. Your motive is not going and picking up first downs on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, knowing that if I run the ball, I can go get this. My motive is to make Tua look good.
Can I pause you for a second, Lewis? I think what you're looking at as ego is hold on. What I believe that's something totally different. And I'd say, and remember, I had this conversation during the year, Bud.
That's
I said
confidence you're describing, Lewis.
maybe that's the word. I'm not sure what word I would. I don't know if I would use ego. Would not be the word I would use. But,
I don't know.
No, hold on. Here's the thing.
Ego is this. Ego is the coach going up in Tyreek Hill and saying, "I know you're capable of 2,000 yards, but we're going to do it my way." That's ego.
No, you're just trying to twist it. But I don't believe that.
Ego is doing something despite anything else because you believe that you're superior in all other things and that it's your reputation that's key above else. He is not putting himself above the team. He is not saying, I'm going to do it this way or else it's the highway. He's not doing that.
All right.
His Lewis, lack of running is not ego. It was mismanaging the play.
Here we go, Bud. Ego's definition. Hold on. A person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Self-confidence is a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. So Jason's on the money. McDaniel is all self-confident. To a fault, maybe sometimes. And that's true. And by the way, the point I was just trying to make to Lewis a little bit ago, I was up here preaching, hey guys, first year, we're going to get first-time learning curve. He's going to make mistakes as a first-time head coach.
Steven, pull up EM Dolphins. Pull up EM.
I'm literally reading it. He said it's considered. He said it's considered confidence initially, but as the season progressed, his focus was misplaced, and he allowed his misplacement to negativity affect his real-time play calling. All right, let me say something. Hold on. I think.
That's not ego. That's strategy.
Ego. Hold on. Listen.
Strategy?
Yes, 3rd and 1, what to do, run or pass is strategy.
All right.
Hey, listen, why did we complain? So why did we come out and complain about him passing then if it was strategy?
Regardless of my answer, Lewis, regardless of my answer.
Okay, Lewis.
Ego.
I know I've said this before. Lewis, listen to me. Are you listening, bud? Okay.
I got you.
All right. I'm not even going to argue whether that's ego or not, although I think that it's not, and Jason thinks that it's not, and I think you got the definition wrong. Neither here or there, my guy. What I also said, and I preached about this year, you listen to my show almost every day, okay? I said, I'm sure at the beginning of the year, Mike McDaniel sat down, he made a list, and he said, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that I can keep my, coach. This is what I'm going to do as a coach. Good, bad, or indifferent, so that at minimum, I have a measuring tool to compare it in off-season or future strategies. And I think I said that could be a detriment to him at the end of the day, because if he ends up not, adjusting in the middle of a game or adjusting to something that is working, but because he has the strategy and wants to play the strategy out, he's going to go ahead and do that, right? I think all coaches do that. I'm going to stick with something. I don't think that's ego. I think that's self-confidence, and sometimes to the detriment, which is what happened there. And I agree to a certain extent with what EM said. As a matter of fact, I probably agree with everything that EM said there, because I think that he's saying it's 70% ego, 30% strategy. I disagree.
Ego. You still agree? You still agree?
Oh,
I think that we're taking
words. I think the definition of ego is what's confusing both of us right now. Where I pulled up the definition.
Okay, and I think.
By the way, I also want to state one thing. I don't think there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of ego in you.
I mean, neither.
Wide receivers need to be egotistical. They are.
Absolutely.
They're drama queens. That's fine. I'm good with that.
I just think in this fan base, there's a problem. If you have ego, right? In this fan base, if you have ego and you're an asshole, then it's a problem. You can have ego, right, if you're a nice guy. That's all it is. That's the only difference. Flores and McDaniel both showed ego tendencies that put their ego in front of the team, but one is a nice guy and one is considered an a-hole. That's what it is.
I wouldn't compare the egos of those two gentlemen in the same state, the same country, the same sport at all. We are talking about a
two different personalities
man who has spoken to press. I've asked the man questions directly to his face. He has answered in such a cold, calculated. This isn't a bad thing. This isn't a bad thing. They're completely different human beings. I've never heard Brian Flores self-deprecate himself. I've heard Mike McDaniel self-deprecate himself. To me, that's not an egotistical person.
And by the way, I also think that shows how humble.
I'll tell you who had an ego. Nick Saban has an ego. Bill Parcells
he does have
an ego. Let me tell you something quickly about Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells came into the Dolphins and said, I don't care if you're a Hall of Famer. I'm trading you. And then he looked at the eyes of JT and said, I don't care. I'm Bill Parcells. You're out. That's an ego.
And by the way,
because Jason
Flores had that ego. Now, whether we agree to disagree or not with that,
he was able to win. Bill Parcells said, "That's why I'm doing it," and he didn't win it with Miami, but he had that ego because of what.
And Brian Flores didn't have rings to come down.
Okay, so hold on, Jason, I got this. Tag me in, Jason. Tag me in.
But I got this. No, hold up.
Hold up, Lewis. Listen to me. Here we go, sir.
You just did it.
I'm glad you said that.
You just did it.
I'm glad you said that. Hey, didn't he have that? So here's where the issue then is. It's not with ego. It's not with personality. It's not with any of this. You ready, Lewis? It has to do at this point with, you ready? Okay. With the front office and ownership backing up either Flores or backing up Greer. We can say that they made a mistake by not backing up Greer or by not backing up Flores and backing up Greer. That's a fair argument. Do we know that we wouldn't have been successful if Ross had said, you know what, Greer, I'm going to get rid of you and I'm going to keep Flores because I think Flores' strategy is better. We don't know what the outcome of that would have been. I'm going to assume based on he wasn't willing to bring in a great offensive coordinator in my opinion, that it would have failed. It would have failed. And I think ultimately that's what Ross and Greer looked at. And they said, look, in order to win, we need to work on the offensive side of the ball. We can't just throw away this number 5 overall draft pick that we've had, and we can build up around him and go about this a different way. That's what they decided to do. Now, that might be ego, but at the end of the day, Flores could have said, here's my ring, I can show you. And Ross and Greer could have been like, and they did, obviously, they're like, we're just going to go in a different direction because we're not willing to give up on certain people yet. Point blank. And I'll tell you what, real quick, I wasn't going to bring anybody else on. I know there's people in there.
EM wants up. I'm
going to bring on EM because I want to hear his side of this.
Oh, y'all
from
gonna get
the
it
personality
now. Y'all
standpoint.
gonna get it. Y'all gonna get it now.
EM, good morning, my brother.
Let's talk to him, EM.
Stephen D. Lewis, salute, gentlemen. What's going on?
What's going on, baby? How are you?
I am Gucci, bro. Just taking a break from my work day, and I was looking for some Dolphin content to try to listen to, and I pulled up your channel, and I hear y'all having this debate about McDaniel and this Flores McDaniel debate, and I thought I'd chime in for a minute, bro.
So I said the definition of ego, and I said the definition of self-confidence. Do those intertwine?
True to some degree, but here that's why in my comment that I put up, what I meant by initially, right before the season starts, when he engaged the first thing, and Lou was 100% spot on. Tyreek Hill, he was on a Club Shay Shannon Sharp's YouTube channel,
I saw that interview.
And he said the first thing came out of his mouth was 2,000 yards, right?
Yep.
And okay, initially that can be viewed as confidence, right? Initially, early on in the season, but as the hang on,
EM,
but
I'm sorry,
hey,
they got you out, EM. I love you, EM.
Keep him on.
That's horrible. That is horrible.
Keep him on.
I love you.
Steven.
Huh?
That is horrible.
I can't, man. Flip side, I gotta abide by the rules.
Damn,
I
and
can't
you
make
paid the 50?
exceptions for people. I love you. I want to hear what EM has to say, but flip side, I wanted to hear.
Horrible.
I was curious.
That's horrible.
If flip side said he'll give him a couple minutes, I'll let him go. But flip paid the $50. I got to abide by the rule. I love EM. I love EM. Rules are rules.
I think what EM was going to say, right? Because I agree with this as well. You can take that, let's say, for the sake of argument, the first time he talks to Tyreek, hey, Tyreek, we're looking for 2,000 yards. You can take that as being confident. Okay, cool. But once Tyreek, it was attainable. Once we got to the 1,600-yard mark, right? The detriment of just, hey, I'm going to force feed the ball to Tyreek. I don't care if it's a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and I know the running game is cooking. I feel good on this play. We can pick up the first down. Nah, let me go to Tyreek to get those yards. Coach McDaniel's ego got in the way of that because he had made the comment to Tyreek already, 2,000 yards. You see what I'm saying? He already had Tua Tagovailoa in the MVP conversation. So again, why am I going to have?
Hold on. You know what I will do to appease everybody? After we get off the show today, I will do a pre-recorded session with me, you, Lewis, and EM about ego and self-confidence and how Flores, and I'll load that up. I think that'll be a really good little small roundtable that we can do that people can see, because I think at the end of the day, I think the definition of how we're viewing it, like, for example, if I call somebody ignorant, right? I think people look at that as a negative connotation, but the definition of ignorant is uninformed, correct, Lewis? I know you're off the thing here, Lewis, but the definition of ignorant is uninformed, right, bud?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if I'm giving you the pure definition of ego, and by the way, I've said there's nothing wrong with McDaniel having some ego. I just look at it as self-confidence. And we both agree, including EM also agreed, that the intertwining of self-confidence and ego's definition can kind of intertwine with each other. Then it becomes a perception thing. You're going to look at it as ego. I'm going to look, and Jason and I are going to look at it as self-confidence. Who's right or wrong? Right. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I like what you said a little bit of, if somebody's an asshole and has ego, it's a negative thing. If somebody's nice and has ego, it's a good thing. So then it goes to personality, which is ultimately, so then let's put it there. Ultimately, Flores' personality is the reason he didn't keep his job here.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
I'm not going to argue with that. I
just broke that down in pure form. And
I still think he got done wrong.
Say what?
I still think he got done wrong. Just my opinion.
By the way, I don't necessarily disagree with that statement either. I don't disagree.
Listen, if his personality and his
it's not whether he got done right or wrong. It's the company chose to go in a different direction, and that's the company's right to. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that.
I think they kind of backdoored him though. The way they
he wasn't. We've had this conversation a million times before, just in general. But to say they were not on the same page, Lewis. You can admit that, right?
When did that switch come? When
did that? In my opinion, after he would not tank. I think
I'm going to tell you the game that things kind of probably went awry. It was that Washington game when they went for it after the score.
Yeah,
I remember that. Win. Let me also tell you something. Did I like the decision to go for it? Abso-friggin-lutely. Do you remember the play? That play was DOA, dead on arrival. So ego, I want to win, no matter what. That was ego, and the play call was ridiculously poor.
Andre,
said, I don't care if my rule is to get 0 wins. We are going to win right now. So I'm not kicking the extra point. We're going to score right. Play was dead before it was snapped. That's ego.
Andravia said, Lewis, I guarantee you if he made the playoffs, he'd still be the head coach.
Wrong.
You got to make playoff runs if you're going to act like the big bad wolf. Not sorry to that man. I concur with that statement too, right? Now to Lewis's point, we can say, oh, he had 3 years. He didn't. That first that tank year, he had no chance. It was a throwaway year. He should not be counted against. As a matter of fact, he should be commended for to win as many games as he did with that team, because that was easily the worst roster ever assembled in the history. Right. In the history of putting a roster together. Now,
2007 too.
Yeah. Right? Okay. All right. So
won 5 out of his last 7 games. Then followed that up with a 10-6
so Lewis,
and a 9-8 season.
Lewis,
2 back-to-back winning seasons.
Okay,
In the
you're
last 20
jumping
years-
ahead, which is what I want eventually, or essentially. But
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
let's jump. No. I said let's jump to now, and you are technically you're going forward. You're just 2 back-to-back 9 and 8 seasons. All right, let's talk about from the standpoint of results are everything. If the results are everything, we went 9 and 8 the year before, and we went 9 and 8 this year. Why do we even worry about stats then? Why do we care about who the offensive player is? Year is? Why do we care about who the MVP is? Why do we care about points per game, defense and offense? Why do we care about all that stuff?
Because I'm been telling y'all. I don't care about stats. You guys are the ones that throw stats at me. I tell you that.
Are they not relevant?
I throw stats as reference points. They're not the end all be all. Just like the eye test isn't the end all be all. These are all
I agree.
Elements in the equation. And when I'm adding elements in the equation, I'm looking at track record. I think you mentioned that. I'm looking at, a person's tells, a person's ability to be consistent in what they do. Again, I don't even know where we are in the purpose of this conversation. Flores versus McDaniel, ego versus
no. I think we're over the Flores part at this point. Now it's
in terms of McDaniel. What he strikes me as, does he have that almost, quirky confidence? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Is this ego? I don't think so. I just think it's almost like a green rookie head coach who is very, very smart and very, very confident, now needing to get those things in check. It's not like his ego was writing checks his body can't cash. You know what I mean? That's someone a little bit more. I put Josh McDaniels as that, with a little bit more of an ego coming from the Bill Belichick tree.
Jason, let me ask you this, Jason. In the playoff game, when we're winning 24-20, right? We're up 24-20.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3rd and 15, right? All you have to do is run a screen, run the ball. Hell, I don't give a damn what you do. Throw a bubble screen, right?
Yep.
Punt the ball. You send your defense out there that was playing well. He ends up taking a shot with his 3rd string backup quarterback, Skylar Thompson. You think that was ego? Do you think
I thought it was a bad play call.
Oh, so now it's just a bad play call.
So time out. What's the difference? Hold on, Lewis. Hold on, Lewis. Answer me this, Lewis. Why is that? Why you agree? Do you not agree that coaches in the NFL just make bad plays and make bad decisions?
Yes,
but you're saying so when you make that play mistake, it's not ego.
You want me to tell you why, Stephen? Because all year, who was one of the best teams in 3rd and long situations? Miami, correct?
Correct.
This was the first year that I can remember.
Confidence. I have track record to show that we've done well in this situation. How the hell is that ego, Lewis?
With your starter. So if Tua's in there, it's not a bad play call, in my opinion. That's my starter. That's my guy. That's the guy I have confidence in. There goes your confidence. You don't have confidence in Skylar Thompson. You don't have confidence in a 3rd string, 7th round pick. But your ego made you call that play.
No, you called the play because he put the ball in his quarterback's hands and it didn't work out.
A 7th round rookie?
Trey said it's bravado. It's bravado. It's not ego. I don't think it's ego, man.
Not ego,
Lewis. It's not ego. It's not. It's not ego. It has nothing to do with ego.
Do this pre-recorded show, Stephen. Let me know.
I'll be more than happy to do it with you and EM because I think it's a fair conversation and a fair. I think there's similarities, there's comparisons to self-confidence, ego, Flores, McDaniel. How does this work? And here's the funny part. I even kind of contradict myself with this statement, right, Lewis? I say, look, I think there was a list of things that he basically said at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to change anything this year for the most part because I want to have a curve. I want to have a measuring stick to compare future seasons and future play calls to, right? And whether that be this year or next year. But you go back and look at the Baltimore game, right? Because somebody just said the Baltimore game in there. He basically said in the 4th quarter, I just threw out everything out the window and I said, let's just chuck the ball. Which for 95% of McDaniel last year, that was so un-McDaniel. That was so not like him to be like, I'm just going to throw everything out. But you're down 21 points at that point. You got to try to do something. Do I think that McDaniel made a lot of mistakes last year? I'll be the first person to raise my hand and say yes. I'll be the first person to say that we might have even lost a couple of games because of McDaniel. But I'm also going to say he's a first-year head coach. He gets the benefit of the doubt, and there's a learning curve when you have a first-time head coach. Allow him the opportunity this year to learn from the mistakes that he made last year.
To piggyback off that, here's where I will agree with Lewis and say, you're right, this man might have an ego. Here's where I may agree with you. He's going to have to go back and look at his tape, his coaching tape. And I guarantee you he's going to do that. This man's an Ivy Leaguer. Means he puts in the work, he studies. I don't care where he finished in his class. He graduated in Ivy League freaking school. He's an academic. He's a studier. So he's going to analyze what he needs to do better. He needs to make third down play calls better. He needs to rely on the running game better. He needs to utilize his timeouts better. He needs to challenge and throw the red flag better. I want to see if he learns on those things. If his play calling is still a little like you've referenced, maybe there is a bit of an ego. I'm going to give him more than 17 games right off the bat as a green rookie head coach. With his quirky personality and his self-deprecation and his everything else that he brings to the table, is he egotistical? Absolutely not. Did he play with a little bit more confidence and coolness than maybe most first-year head coaches? I'm with you there. I can't call it ego. I've seen too much ego in the NFL, so have we all, to compare this man to those egotistical coaches. It ain't ego. Overconfidence, a little bit of, what's the word, cavalier? Sure. Ego? No.
I like bravado in the chat. Hey, Lewis, point blank. We'll get in touch with EM. We can set that up. I think that'd be a good conversation to have. I'm already picturing the thumbnail and how everything would look. I think, and I'd like people to comment when that happens. We won't do it live. We'll pre-record it and then tell people to drop in the chat. We can finish the conversation on Twitter too, which is great. But I want you to finish up because we got to get out of here. We're supposed to get out of here a long time ago.
Listen,
hey, you out here extending stuff. I told there was like 4 people in the back room that wanted to get on and argue with you, and I couldn't do it. And I brought EM on. I'm sorry, EM. I love you, bro, but the rules are the rules on the channel, and I can't.
Yeah, he's still texting me saying to tell you to let him up.
I can't do it, man. If somebody pays to bring him back up, I'll be more than happy to. But I can't do it. I love him.
I'm getting out of here anyway. I'm getting up to the next dispensary. I appreciate the conversation, guys. Jason, always a pleasure. Steven, you already know what time it is.
What time is it, man? Can you tell the people, the folks that are still watching, what time it is?
Well, it's 12:35, but it's donation time, man. Again, I say it all the time.
Wasn't saying that.
Well,
I appreciate it. What I will say, man, I love having you on. You're such a great debate. I love debating with you, even when you're wrong, completely wrong, which is all the time. Absolutely all the time.
It wasn't today.
It was today.
Right today.
What?
I'm on point today.
No, you're not.
Right.
Just because you have EM on your side doesn't make you right. Huh?
We out here. We're strong. We're out here strong.
I love you, man.
Love you guys both. You enjoy your rest of your day and look to continue the debate soon. Jason, don't run. You better be back there.
I'm here. Where am I going? Where am I going?
Don't be running, Jason.
Don't be running. I'll pull my back out if I start running, Lewis. I'm not free kicking anymore.
We're old guys over here, Lewis.
Hey.
Love you, bro. Be good.
You guys have a good one.
Be well, kiddo.
All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. Great show today, man. Fun show. Look, I love the Lewis debate for many different reasons, but that's what a debate should look like. Lewis and I totally different. And me and you, but that's how a debate should go. Have fun with it. Talk about it. And I'm not saying, and if I'm being honest, I'm not going to sit up here and say, well, I am saying I'm right and you're wrong. But if I'm honest with myself, it could be that he's right. I just don't view it that way. And I think that that's a fair statement when you're having debates with people, especially in the world of the Dolphins, that you have to look at the Dolphin fandom. Guys, if you're going to have a debate with somebody, have fun with it. Don't come on.
Let me give you my spiel on the whole sports debate. We all love it. Prior to the internet,
Part of what loving sports is.
Prior to the internet, a typical Saturday night with me in college and my friends, obviously first semester going into a day before the NFL, raucous debates on the next day. I mean, we're talking like,
what was it like when you had to take a horse and buggy?
Not one fight, never a fight, never fight, because it's fun debating, it's respectful debating. The problem with the internet is you took you took the face-to-face out. So it's so easy to two-dimensionally from such afar say and do and act however you want. Lewis did it right just there. Completely conflicting views, but it was a very, very good debate. Whereas 20 years ago, if I'm talking Jets Dolphins on October Saturday night with a couple of brews, we're not getting into fights with our words. We're talking football. And that's what I'm talking about. So I really, really love, even when we're completely off in debates, but do it right.
I want to say this last thing before we do final thought of the day. I love everybody. I think everybody has a place in this world. I think everybody has a place in the community. I think there's something for everybody that you can get. And so when I say that I love you, that's a real thing. Like that's not blowing smoke up your ass. When I say I love EM, I love EM. When I say I love Lewis, I love Lewis. When I say I love TD, I love TD. When I say I love everybody, Jason, everybody, I really mean that. There's context, there's levels to this, right? Like I can appreciate what everybody brings to the table. Everybody. Okay. I just Miami Fan Talk said, Jason, I just got the cards. Thank you, man.
Damn, the mouse slow.
Yes, I know. Look, hey, here's the thing. I know that some of the stuff that people are late for have to do with when we sent them out, stuff did get lost in the mail. I've gotten letters from the USPS saying, if you got stuff lost in the mail, we're going to refund you. Just know a lot of stuff has gotten lost in the mail. But there's about 3 people that I still owe stuff to. And I've sent out twice to 2 of them. So I'm going to get you your stuff. I don't know why stuff keeps getting lost. But you're going to get it. You're going to get taken care of. And I apologize for it being so late. So I'm trying to add more stuff in there so that, it makes up for the time of doing it. Other thing. You guys are the best in the world, man. It is. I love when I don't care if I have 80 fans or 150 fans or 190 or 210. Everybody who's here, whether there's 50 people watching or 60 people or 600 people, which I haven't had yet, but one day I will. You mean something to me, and it means a lot to me. And I would rather have 85 loyal fans watching me live than 600 fans that don't matter to me at all. And I'm all about every single person that watches. And so, I just wanted to throw that out there. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to say that. And I love you guys. You guys are the best fans in the world. And what do you got going this weekend, Jason?
A lot of fun taking care of, we got that trip to next week, Dolphins cruise. So
yeah, you're gonna record a couple of videos here and there that we're gonna be able to post up on Twitter, right?
I got a couple
Twitter
of fun things.
And the show. I hope
I have a number of fun things brewing and cooking that I hope to come to fruition on the boat. That will be a lot of fun. So if anyone out there is going, DM me, IM me. I would love to, figure out who's going, set up a time to chill, whatever. But it'll be a great time. So a lot of preparation, getting all of our stuff ready to roll for that. That's really it. Just watching some college basketball and talking Fins. That's really what the weekend has for me and the family over here.
I know I got people texting me.
while you're fielding the text, I'll give my kind of last thoughts. And look, Dolphins Twitter's a fun place. YouTube's a fun place, but we're all rooting for the same thing. We're all rooting for a Super Bowl, right? We're all here to witness the colors behind me have success. And the people who are doing this as platforms, Stephen D, you work your ass off, not just daily, hourly, minutely with what you do. Everyone out there who has a YouTube channel works their ass off. It's very impressive what many.
Every single person that has a YouTube channel works their ass off. Every single one of them does.
Let me use these words very carefully. It's extremely impressive for anyone who builds a brand consistently, gets their audience, and talks knowledgeably about the subject. Kudos to every single one of you all. Let's do so respectfully. Let's do so inclusively.
Yep.
Let's not be so exclusive. Let's do so in a way that when we all see each other, whether it's on a boat, on a street, at the Super Bowl, at the AFC Championship, at a bar, let's shake hands. Let's not bump into each other's shoulders. Let's be respectful. There are people who I spoke to 3 years ago and even graced the shows of that unfortunately I don't speak a word of to today for whatever which reason. I can't say what it is. Is it my fault? Maybe. Is it other people's fault? Maybe. Is it a mixture? Sure. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to try to say, we're entering the best time that I've ever had as a Dolphin fan with the future in mind. We could have 5 to 10 years of absolute joy and bliss. I want to do so as a community. I don't want to do so in a civil war. So keep on producing. Everyone keep on creating content. And fins up.
All day, every day. I'm going to be on Shake Money's show. Go check out Shake Money. Shake Money's on the Fins Tailgate and on Larry K's channel. Shout out to both those channels. So as soon as I get that set up with my man Shake, I'm going to announce that. We're going to be good.
Yeah, Andre, see, you could be waiting until hell freezes over. That Merino jersey, that's up there. That's planted, brother. That's planted. When this house gets sold, I'm chiseling
Jason Miller, fan club president over in California for the Southern California fan club. He is doing every year he does the off-season picnic. I'm going to try to he's listening right now. So if you're listening, Jason, which I think you are because you just texted me that you were, I want you to come on next week to promote the 10th annual picnic, which is awesome. I've always wanted to go to it. I want to be it's so far and so expensive for me on the other side, but it is definitely something I think if you're over on that side of the country in California, you must go. And then I'm going to bring Allie, a.k.a. Dolph Freaky, on to talk about her beach mud bash in June. So over in Southwest Florida. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. This is one of the best parts about being a Dolphins fan is, some of the great off-season events where Dolphins fans get together. We do this every day up here, but when you really can get together physically and get to do some really cool stuff, it's great. And what's great about both of those things, the picnic, over on the West Coast and the beach bash down in Southwest Florida is, they raise a lot of money for charities, a lot of different things. I know Jason's done a lot of stuff with the kids in hospitals over there, which is great stuff. And I know Allie's done a lot of stuff with her Dolph Freaky's Friends Foundation, and it helps a lot of kids and a lot of different things. So I can't wait to talk about it more, and maybe we'll do a Spread Kindness Friday where we can send some money out on behalf of Miami Sports Music, raise some money up for the channel, raise some money for those great events, and do some great stuff and have it go to a great thing. But it's Spread Kindness Friday. And I wouldn't be wrapping up Spread Kindness Friday if I didn't give you guys homework to do. My homework this weekend for you is there's a lot of hate that goes out in the world, many different ways. And I want you to dose out as much kindness this weekend as you can, whether that be through social media, whether that be through helping out a homeless person, whether it be helping out a friend. All I want you to do this weekend is think about how can I spread kindness to somebody, whether you know that person or not, whether that's through social media and just putting positive and kind stories out there, whether that's backing somebody up and stopping hate from spreading. Just be kind. That's my homework for you guys this weekend. Shake Money says, appreciate the love. Always, Shake. I love you, brother. You're the man. I just want Spread Kindness to really be the thing this weekend for you guys, the motto. So that is my homework for you guys in Spread Kindness Friday. I want you guys to figure out a way and then execute it. How can you figure out a way to spread kindness this weekend to somebody? That's awesome. And I will leave with a dad joke. Let me find a dad joke because it is Friday, and I only did 2 of them today. You guys didn't get a lot of good dad jokes today. All right, hold on. I'm gonna give you a couple. All right, if you like my dad jokes,
all
right, you can donate $1 for every great dad joke I got. I'm gonna do a few of them here. You ready, Jason? You ready?
Let's go.
Let's see. We can dad jokes for donations.
We're setting ourselves up here.
All right, here we go. Noob says, now I have to steal money from a homeless man. Thank you, Steven. That's on you. Tell me how to be positive. Are you a Star Wars fan?
I know of it, but I'm not a fan. Like I know the very novice levels of it.
All right. When does a joke become a dad joke? When it becomes apparent. I mean, I meant to hit this one. Come on. That's a good one. All right, hold on. I got a couple more. What is the most popular fish in the ocean?
What?
A starfish. Bam. Let's go. Like it. All right, couple more. The past, the present, and the future walked into a bar. It was tense.
Oh, God.
What? Come on.
Hey.
Noob says, give me the Star Wars joke, Steven. All right, I'll give you the Star Wars joke. Why didn't Han Solo enjoy his steak dinner?
It was rare.
It was chewy. Bam! What? Bam! All right, go ahead. You got one. Flip side said, what kind of bees make milk? Boobies. Andre said, please end the show.
I'm afraid to say mine.
No, go ahead.
What did the head coach tell the broken candy machine?
I don't know. What did it say?
I want my quarterback.
What? All right, one more, and then I'm done.
Make it good. Mine was pretty bad.
I know. I'm trying. All right, you ready?
I am.
All right, here we go. This is the last joke of the day.
Let's do
I'm
it.
gonna make it good.
Home run.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
No bell.
No bell who?
No bell, so I just knocked.
Oh,
Bam! Bang! Dad joke. Let's go. Like it. What happened?
I just hear some chirping. I don't know.
That was great. I don't know what you're all talking about. Great dad jokes. All right. I hope I made you all smile or laugh a little bit. That's all I'm about. Shake Money says, did you hear about the constipated accountant? You couldn't budget, so you had to work it out with a pencil.
TMI. Just the visual there.
This feels like a Monday. Thank you.
Well, that's good because you got a whole weekend after this. So it's a good thing.
It's the whole weekend now.
Yeah,
what kind of Monday do you have that you get the weekend? Let's go.
About expectations, and we just exceeded your expectations.
That's what we did, Caesar. All right, we're ending the show. I'm over it. You guys were great today. It was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Donate to the channel. Help the channel grow. Only 77 likes, guys. Share the link. Enjoy. If you missed any of the shows this weekend, go back and watch it. You got all weekend to watch the shows from this week. And just go back and have a good time, man. Go University of Miami today. Girls at 2:30. Guys tonight at 7:10. Tip-off. And FAU tomorrow night. Let's keep it going. Shout out to the South Florida team still in the dance. And Miami Heat, keep it up. Let's go, baby. All day. Heat basketball. I love you guys. You guys are the best. We'll see you Monday right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Home of the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock blockers. Peace.
We've been waiting, yeah, we've been patient. Now it's time to cash out, no discount. Super Bowl, yeah, we in route. I don't know when, but it's close. I don't want to overhype, but I just know I like it. So excited, you gon' notice now. You should notarize it. They say 2 are from that rock. Shout out to Samoa and Islands. Time to lay the smack down. You think you Dwayne Johnson? Time to be the people's champ. Hit them with the people's elbows. Stick together like it's Velcro. You think you could stop us? Hell no. All day I dream about sports. I think I need some shadows. Custom with some doctor's colors. Just to let them know we here. Yeah. I know the whole city riding. A little